Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We're streaming out live on the Alternate Current Radio Network, also at YouTube X, also streaming out live on Rumble, BitChute, Facebook Live, and also on the audio streams after the show. So glad to be with you. Very important broadcast today. And as you would gather by the title, The Masters of War, the sequel, we have found ourselves in that place once again. We found ourselves as a society, as the world, in a place that, well, it might seem unfamiliar to this generation, but it might be more familiar to the previous generation if they're whoever's surviving that generation. I'm talking about the Vietnam era, but even going further back than that. And we're going to talk about this conflict, which is now in its 9th day officially on the calendar with Iran. There's a lot to cover there. We also got a special surprise appearance. We had a chance to talk to a very amazing singer-songwriter just before the show, and we'll play some of the clip of that to you very shortly in the end of this segment, the beginning. But we'll be joined in the Overdrive segment, as usual, with our teammates, hopefully from the Alternate Current Radio Network, Hesher, Ruckus, possibly Basil Valentine, to discuss all this and more. So, I'm really looking forward to that discussion. And in the meantime, we have some ground to cover. Now, before we do that, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who has supported us during the winter fundraising drive. It's been absolutely incredible. And we closed that drive up, a couple weeks ago. We did hit our goal. We did hit our target of $15,000 to help fund this operation into 2026. So that's a huge, huge achievement for us, having met that target. Now, what we're going to do today is, obviously, we're into March right now, and what we're going to do today is we want to one last push, and this is up on our website right now. If you go to 21stcenturywire.com, you go to the donate section, you will see their winter fundraising drive is there. One last push. So those of you who haven't yet had a chance to get involved, and I know some of you, and we may read off the names at the beginning of the Overdrive segment, some of the donors that have come in late and chipped in. But for those of you who want to get involved, we think, yes, amazing that we've met this target, but we also want to see what we can do in terms of going for that extra push, that bonus. We want to push it to 20,000 this week, and we just want to. That's going to happen today. Okay, so you guys help us make that happen. We've surpassed 16,000. We have about 16.5, so we have roughly $3,500 left to make it. What we've done to make it even easier, we put a QR code up on screen that'll get you right to our fundraising page. So this is a really, I think it's been an epic fundraising drive, but we have some staff we want to secure for 2026. We are expanding on all content that we're doing, written, video, as well as just the general upkeep, security, online management of our various assets. As you might know, we manage about 8 channels at the moment. In addition to 21st Century Wire, we also syndicate our podcast on all major audio streams. And we have all sorts of plans where we want to try to improve and make this business more sustainable. And we need your help to make that happen. So one last push, folks, for the winter fundraising drive. And we will pop an email out as well to all of you who have donated in the past, as well as our subscription list for the daily newsletter that we send out from 21stcenturywire.com. But guys, this has been a great 2026 start, and we want to really power through. And as you know, we've been able to parlay some of this support into on-the-ground reporting. It's allowed myself to be out of the studio and to be on the ground in places like Iran over the last 3 weeks, and also reporting on the cartel wars in Mexico, which we inadvertently landed in the middle of a cartel war, which we did some coverage on live here on the Sunday Wire, as well as on other platforms where we've circulated some of those reports. Many of you have seen those. So this is it. So the winter fundraising drive, folks, get involved, hit that QR code. We'll also drop that during the break. We'll also drop it after the show. So we'll leave the stream running with the QR code up on screen as well. So this is an opportunity to really make a statement this year and go in even stronger as well. One other thing I've been able to do was to invest in some new camera equipment, mobile camera equipment, which some of which is used in some of the reports that we've done. So the quality is excellent, and it's allowed us to turn around very quickly, which transfers the files very quickly. I'll be doing more outdoor work as a result of having that system. I've had systems before, but this is a little bit better in terms of just the size, the weight, the portability, and then the way we can transfer files and edit and turn reports around a lot quicker. So you'll see a lot of these start popping up in the shorts. A lot more outdoor work that we're able to do with some of the equipment that we've begun to procure because of your support for the winter fundraising drive. So thank you guys very much. And as you know, the content on our website is just getting better and better and better. It's also allowed me to feature on a lot of other big shows. I have a lot of interview requests. I turned down probably over half of all interview requests I get, and I do maybe, I don't know, between 8 and 10 interviews per week on a busy week. On a slow week, maybe I'm doing like 5. So that tells you how many I turned down. I turned down between sort of 5 and 10 interviews per week. We're just getting inundated with requests. And I just think it's important to be able to get the message out, to get the word out on all these different platforms as well. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing to keep things live. So let's get back to the task at hand and the theme of today's program here, the Masters of War. This is a Bob Dylan track. This will become more important at the end of the segment when you see our surprise guest. So let's just leave it there. Iconic anti-war track, and it really speaks to what's going on today. And you see the characters here, these warmongering characters that we, unfortunately, they're dominating our world right now. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? And if you go to, well, one of the things that we've been featuring on our website in terms of reports. So here we are in our 9th day for this conflict, and it's been absolutely horrific. I want to talk about what's driving this. Definitely, but I also want to share with you a report, video report here. These are scenes from Tehran. And I'm going to share that with you right now. Hold on for one moment. We're going to bring up one of those reports here. That's scenes from Tehran right there. The United States are bombing oil storage facilities, civilian oil storage facilities. They're basically just doing scorched earth policy right now. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting what the United States has done. Just, you have to remember, they started this war on a false pretext. They lied. Just as bad as George Bush and WMDs, okay? In fact, it's worse, because at least the Bush neocons had respected the public enough, even very little, but respected the public just a little bit, enough to go through the effort of faking the intelligence and putting on a good show for us. With these miscreants currently occupying the U.S. government and the White House, and with their handlers in Tel Aviv, they feel they hold you, the people, in such contempt. Donald Trump hates the people, Pete Hegseth, and all these other criminals that have conspired to mount this undeclared, unprovoked, illegal war of aggression. They despise you, the people. They hold the public in such contempt. They feel they're above having to even fake the intelligence. They just make things up as they go along and then just say they're going to kill, they're going to destroy. And if the Iranian people don't bend to the will of the great United States war power machine, that they're going to kill them and they're going to die under our bombs. That's what Pete Hegseth has said publicly. These people, make no mistake what you're dealing with here. This is pure evil. Okay? This is next level above the Bush, Cheney neocons. Okay? Those were schoolboys. Okay? They're at least pretending to play within the bounds of law, and even, pretended to justify what they were doing, even if they were fabricating the excuse for it. And they at least went through the effort of trying to get consensus for their lie. This criminal cabal that is currently in control of the U.S. military, that is currently bankrupting the United States, bankrupting the global economy, destabilizing the Middle East, and ultimately they will destabilize the world. These people are, I don't even know, well, we'll show you what's driving this, which is even more frightening. So I think at this point, well, let's look at the person we mentioned. So Pete Hegseth is the self-styled Secretary of War. He calls himself the Secretary of War. Okay. That's what he calls himself. And here he is at a recent press conference. Listen closely to what he's saying. We're going to bring this up on screen in just a moment. Just had a delay on our system. Used to be called the Secretary of Defense. That's so passé, apparently.
Flying over Iran, flying over their capital, flying over the RGC, Iranian leaders looking up and seeing only U.S. and Israeli air power every minute of every day until we decide it's over. And Iran will be able to do nothing about it. B-2s, B-52s, B-1s, Predator drones, fighters, controlling the skies, picking targets. Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps. Our warfighters have maximum authorities granted personally by the president and yours.
Yeah, granted by the president and yours truly, he said. Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War. They have no authority to wage war, to wage an undeclared war of aggression against another sovereign state. They have no authority. That authority is only given to them, it should be, through the U.S. Constitution. But they bypassed that, and they've been able to bypass that because the Israeli lobby, a foreign country, has bribed and paid off all of our congressmen and senators, at least 80% of them, in the U.S. legislature. So they've all stood down. They could have put the War Powers Act up to vote last 2 weeks ago, but instead they delayed it because led by an Israeli-controlled legislator named Chuck Schumer, the Democrat Senate leader. He specifically put the brakes on the vote because he knew the war was coming last Friday, so he wanted to delay it because he knew that once the war was in motion, that there would be a less chance, or the Israeli lobby knew, that's why they instructed people like Schumer to delay it. They knew that once the war was in motion, very cynical, that they wouldn't get the votes to stop it. And of course, they had a late vote after the war had already begun, after the bombs were being dropped. And of course, most congressmen and senators completely caved. Many Democrats in the House push back, and in the Senate push back on it, but it was too late. They would have won the vote before. So Democrats, if you are truly anti-war, you need to basically look at your colleague Chuck Schumer, who's a viper in the nest and an absolute, agent of the Israeli machine, war machine, and the U.S. war machine as well. So while some Democrats talk a good ball game, pretending to oppose Trump, they are absolutely on board with the war, 100%. And this guy here that you're seeing, Pete Hegseth was a nobody a year and a half ago. He was plucked out of obscurity. He was a weekend host at Fox News. He has no rank in the U.S. military worth even mentioning. I think the highest rank he attained as a reservist was a major. But the Israeli lobby selected him. They ordered Donald Trump to make him head of the Pentagon, even though he had no experience and a very problematic and scandal-ridden personal life. It includes allegations, or, well, more than allegations, depending on which reports you read, but alcoholism and physical abuse of his partner. I believe he had to make a payout to hush money was paid by Pete Hegseth to a former partner. That's the allegation. You can read the reports yourself. Be that as it may. That's why they chose him. He has no experience, and he has a problematic personal history. And he's young. He has no life experience other than sitting in front of a teleprompter on the weekends at Fox. Wasn't even good enough to be an actual anchor. And claims to have written all these books, but as we know from the other presenters at Fox News, many of these people, the network or the company that markets their books, employ ghostwriters to write their books for them. And then these people on Fox, like Pete Hegseth, Bill O'Reilly, and others, Brian Kilmeade, the list goes on. They've all got endless books. Where do they find time to research and write these books? Well, most likely because they don't write them. Ghostwriters do. But their reputations are built on these books. These are just marketing exercises and money-making schemes that they're able to promote on a major cable news network like Fox. So he was selected because he was unqualified. For Pete Hegseth, he won the lottery. He went from zero to suddenly being one of the most powerful people on the planet, pretending that he built the military. Just like Donald Trump talks like it's his military. The power has gone to these people's heads, and it should be no surprise. Because when you take somebody, when a criminal cartel selects somebody like this and pulls them from obscurity, and it puts them in the most powerful position where they have the power of life and death over millions of people, and they themselves are corrupt inherently. They're selected because of that, not in spite of it. But that corruption goes even deeper than we could possibly imagine. And that's the most frightening part. It didn't end there. And just to give you a glimpse into the psychology of what you're dealing with here, this is Pete Hegseth in a recent interview. And, they're having a hard time concealing the mask that they're trying to hide behind here. Bear in mind, he should not be in the position he is.
Put U.S. personnel in any more danger than they otherwise would be?
Well,
the Russian involvement.
No one's putting us in danger. We're putting the other guys in danger. That's our job. So we're not concerned about that. We mitigate it as we need to. Our commanders factor all of this, but the only ones that need to be worried right now are Iranians that think they're going to live.
Wow. So the only people that should be worried are Iranians that think they're going to live. And we see this week, I just showed you a clip. They're hitting densely populated civilian areas because they've run out of military targets. because they've run out of precision munitions. So now they're using heavy bombs indiscriminately, targeting civilian infrastructure and killing civilians, as well as environmental damage and poisoning the air and the water, just like these animals did in Iraq when they destroyed Iraq. These are the same people. Pete Hegseth also took part in the Iraq debacle, as well as the Afghanistan farrago, and for his great piece on his resume, he was a guard at Guantanamo Bay, lording over goat herders, teachers, and taxi drivers, which were imprisoned in the U.S. torture facility off the coast of Florida, Guantanamo Bay. That's one of his claims to fame. So, great pedigree here. I mean, this guy. And, watch him during this segment. It's interesting. He's hyperventilating. And I've worked in media for a few years, and he is very, very, he's not confident. He doesn't have the moral foundation to pull off the act that he's pretending. He's defensive. You see his neck cocked back. He's hyperventilating during his answers. He's very nervous because somewhere deep down inside, is as evil and misguided as this individual is, he knows that he's struggling to uphold the facade. And then, mind you, this is someone with allegations of alcoholism and perhaps more, as well as of violent tendencies. So he's already unstable. He's already unhinged. And who knows what this guy's doing after hours to blow off steam. I mean, that's just, we don't even want to imagine. But, you find these people that are just torn, walking contradictions. And the worst part about this is he pretends to be pious. He claims to be a Christian, which is quite extraordinary. And many of them do in this new, I don't even call it neocon. It's something else. It's this sort of faux Christian nationalist sort of cult that has formed around Donald Trump. So let's bring that up now. Let's talk about this, the holy war on Iran. Now, I didn't make that graphic up there. That's a billboard in Israel. Donald Trump is Israel's greatest president. I kid you not, there with Mike Huckabee, who's another religious fanatic, who not particularly bright, like from a basic IQ point of view, but incredibly dangerous. He was selected by Israel to be the U.S. ambassador. You see, the problem here is the Israeli lobby have handpicked everybody in the Trump administration, from Marco Rubio to Mike Waltz to Pam Bondi to Mike Huckabee. They're picking the most corrupt, the stupidest, the weakest, the most religiously fanatic. These are the people Israel is selecting. They don't care if Donald Trump runs America into the ground. They really don't care. In fact, that's part of their plan. They don't care if Donald Trump destroys the Republican Party. They don't care if the Republicans lose the House and Senate. That's why they go and snatch cabinet positions from safe House and Senate seats, which is completely stupid from a political point of view, but it suits Israel down to the ground. Why? People ask this question. Well, I'll answer it. Why is Donald Trump the first little political lesson here? This is Political Science 101. Okay. I don't pretend to be a political science, but I do have a postgraduate master's degree in political science. I don't pretend to be a political science, though. I am an analyst, more of a geopolitical analyst. But let me just teach you a lesson here. In the history of the United States, no president has habitually pulled people out of safe seats in the House or Senate. It's like suicide for your party. If you want to maintain a majority, if the goal is to maintain a majority in the House and the Senate, why would you raid safe seats to fill cabinet positions that any idiot couldn't do? You can just pull anybody and stick them as the head of a department. I mean, and the press aren't really going to pay that much attention. The focus is always on the president. Why? Israel requires that Donald Trump do that. because Israel only has control over congressmen and senators because they catch them and donate to them and groom them from their first entry into politics. They don't do that for people in academia, or people in the diplomatic corps, or people who find their way into cabinet positions from other routes. The Israeli lobby do not have control over those people, but they do have control over all of these people in the House and Senate. That's why they instructed Trump to select, like, the new Department of Homeland Security, this John Wayne character, who's a complete psycho, to replace the hair model, Kristi Noem, the psychotic soccer mom who has just been sacked and replaced by somebody even more psychotic. And of course, as expected, he was lifted out of the House of Representatives. So again, Israel doesn't care if the Republicans lose the midterms because they've already worked on buying and securing the entire Democratic Party. They don't care. They don't care about Trump at the end of the day. He's getting a lot of he's being lauded by the Israelis and the lobby now, but they'll throw him under the bus just as soon as they're done with him. He is just a means to an end for Israel. So there's Huckabee and Trump. Trump is Israel's greatest president. Yes, that's a billboard in Tel Aviv. Amazing, right? There's a holy war. These people believe they're fighting a holy war, or at least that's what they say. And this is a particular problem. And I want to point to this article, an excellent piece here by Freddie Ponton. This has gotten great reviews. Crusader-in-Chief Pete Hegseth's Christian Zionist mission to help Israel confront Iran. Being generous on the title there. I would have worded it differently, but Freddie's very diplomatic. But the content in this article is so damning. This is the best article on the internet right now for this topic. This one. Okay. These people claim to be Christians. Let me tell you, they are anything but. They're anything but. Let me just tell you, this isn't just about, religious fanatics, Christian Zionists like Mike Huckabee, who is openly calling for the Greater Israel Project to take over the entire Middle East. And he believes that this is going to accelerate the end times, and then there'll be a rapture and everyone will go to heaven. And Jesus will return and everyone will go to heaven. These people that advocate the slaughter of Palestinians, not just Palestinian Muslims. Mike Huckabee supports the slaughter of Palestinian Christians. He says nothing when historic Christian churches are razed to the ground by U.S. bombs and U.S. F-35s with Israeli pilots. Mike Huckabee has nothing to say about this. That Christians are being ethnically cleansed and slaughtered in the West Bank by fanatical, violent Jewish settlers. Mike Huckabee has no problem with this. He supports it. He's all in with Bibi Netanyahu because Mike Huckabee believes this is going to just accelerate the return of Jesus Christ and the rapture. He believes that by killing Arabs, that Israel is doing God's work. This is Mike Huckabee's deep, deep-seated belief because he doesn't see, like Zionists in Israel, he and others like him do not recognize Arabs as full humans. So this is the toxic, ethnocentric, ethno-nationalist ideology. And where does this come from? It doesn't come from the Middle East. It comes from Europe. And you can see these are the people that have been lifted into the ascendancy in the U.S. government. And the modern state of Israel is a European-dominated ethno-nationalist. And when I say ethno, white ethno. Jews do not, in Israel, white European Jews do not consider black Jews or Ethiopian Jews as legitimate. They had an official state policy to sterilize them without their knowledge. Did you know that? Sterilize the women without their knowledge. Ethiopian Jewish or African Jewish. immigrants in Israel. That was a state policy. You don't believe me? It's not a conspiracy theory. Google it up. Go Google it up. So I'm just giving you an example just so you understand the mindset of these people. They do not think or have the same beliefs or value system as the rest of the world. They believe that they are somehow superior for religious or ideological or racial reasons. There can be no doubt about it. And let me just put you into the frame here. Now, this was a documentary by Al Jazeera. I'm going to play a couple of clips of this because it's so important. Not only is it the problem with Mike Huckabee and people like Pete Hegseth in cabinet positions, or even legislators that are fanatics, religious fanatics. This problem has infested the command structure of the U.S. military. This is a documentary called Praying for Armageddon. It features Colonel Larry Wilkinson and others giving their testimony about this problem within the U.S. military, and it's being directed by guess who? Israeli organizations that are helping to steer and work with Christian Zionist organizations that are trying to proselytize and indoctrinate U.S. soldiers from basic training, from the minute they sign up for basic training. And now we have a genuine problem that has just spread through and infected the entire U.S. military structure. What I'm going to show you is absolutely frightening, but I think it's important. We have a couple of clips. We'll discuss them, but you have to hear this and understand this. And I shared some of this on the UK column on Friday's news, if you guys watched it. But I have some additional clips here. But I think everybody needs to see this. And again, we'll try to share the link with you on this documentary. It's done by Al Jazeera. And I think Lee Feng's one of the lead investigators, if I'm not mistaken. But this is just an outstanding piece of journalism. But watch and listen.
Most of the young people that come into the military are there probably because they're trying to figure out who they are. From an evangelistic standpoint, I've always referred to them as ripe as black bananas.
Chaplains are increasingly coming from the fundamentalist sects. These evangelical fundamentalist chaplains go to some place where basic training graduates, and they say beforehand in their meeting, these troops are at their most vulnerable. They've been racked and trained to death. Go get them.
Enough the Holy Spirit.
We try to reach our recruits immediately. There are 450,000 recruits in the freshman class of this next year's armed forces. That's going through boot camp. We will touch about 200,000 of them this next year.
They had something like 70 baptisms at Fort Jackson at the end of basic training exercises. And they proselytize and they get them, they take them down and baptize them, and then they're part of the Christian nationalists.
I mean, folks, you have no idea how deep this problem goes. And so much so, and I'll show you, we'll give a little bit more, we'll give you more evidence on this, but many not all U.S. soldiers are falling prey to this indoctrination, and many of them have lodged official complaints through the military and also through a legal aid organization that represents soldiers who do not want to be a part of the U.S. military that's under a fanatical religious extremist command structure. Okay? There's reports of them being intimidated because they're not, quote, Christian enough. And these commanders, up to very high ranks, are calling this war in Iran a holy war. This is the war of Armageddon, they say. This is what they're telling some of their troops. This would never have any place in the U.S. military 5, 10, I would say 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It'd be unthinkable. And yet this is now out in the open. That should frighten everybody, especially looking at the maniacal and psychotic comments by the self-styled Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. I'll show you more about Pete Hegseth in a moment. But that was, now let's look at another clip from this. And again, equally as shocking. I mean, some of you may have seen this material before, but for those of you who haven't, this is so important that you do see it.
Wilkerson recommended that I talk to Mikey Weinstein. He's with the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and he's worked for the last 2 decades shining a light on religious fundamentalist influence within the military.
It's okay, you did a good job.
This is kind of a shadow war.
4087071. When people come to us, they are freighted with terror. They are terrified of reprisal, revenge, retaliation. We're closing in on 76,000 U.S. Marines that are clients of ours. And about 95% of them are Christians themselves, being dehumanized and marginalized for not being Christian enough.
The military ministry of Cru only does 3 things, really. We win people to Christ, we build them up in their faith, and we send them out into the world to do the same thing.
There are probably 3 dozen parachurch organizations, some of them well-known, like Campus Crusade for Christ Military Ministries, Focus on the Family, Officers Christian Fellowship, that are incredibly involved in the military. They have offices on military bases, they have senior military officials. We call those fundamentalist Christians or Dominion Christians. The 7 Mountains Mandate, the New Apostolic Reformation. Their job is to transform the military and the militaries of the world into this version of this weaponized Christianity. Jerry Boykin, former 3-star general, made it clear that when Jesus comes back, he'll be carrying an AR-15. It's not a veneer. I mean, these are true believers.
The Lord is a warrior, the Lord is his name. And in Revelation 19, it says when he comes back, he's coming back as a warrior, riding a white horse with a blood-stained white robe, carrying a sword. And I believe that sword he'll be carrying when he comes back is an AR-15.
I mean, so this is real, ladies and gentlemen. These are the people right now that are driving this war against Iran. This is how the Israeli lobby and the U.S. government have been able to get buy-in from the military. Every single person taking part in this is a war criminal, right down to the conscript or the sort of Marine private. You're all war criminals. You're not fighting for America. You're not fighting for freedom. You're not fighting for democracy. You are initiating World War III on behalf of a foreign country and a foreign lobby and a very corrupt corporate transnational military industrial complex and AI industrial complex. That's who you're fighting for, not Jesus. Where in Jesus's teachings is carpet bombing? I missed that part, that thou shalt must carpet bomb innocent civilians day and night, as instructed by your Secretary of War, the psychopath, Pete Hegseth. Where is that in the New Testament? I don't know. I've read a lot of it. I can't find anything about, vaporizing thousands of civilians, siege warfare, starving them, killing them. Maybe in the maybe what Bibi Netanyahu's interpreting from the Old Testament, destroying the Amalek. Again, literal or distorted interpretation of religious texts by religious fanatics to justify the killing of others. Common problem, folks. Seems like we haven't learned our lessons, have we? No, we haven't. Oh, and if it only ended there, we could just go to sleep at night thinking maybe we can overcome this problem. But it doesn't end there. That's the problem. This problem is going to persist. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't even want to get into the boat that the United States torpedoed an unarmed Iranian ship and called it a great military victory and didn't rescue any of the survivors. Thank God Sri Lankan Navy saw fit to try to rescue 30 survivors. Probably 150 are dead or something like that. I mean, just absolutely disgusting. But that's where we are. Look, I could show you more of this, but in the interest of time, we might have a couple more clips. Maybe we might show during the Overdrive segment. But I mean, it's just pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. I think I'll tell you what. There's one more that I think you have to see. There's one more. I mean, let's take a look at this if we can. There's one more clip that I think you have to see. We'll see if we can scare that one up. But what you have to understand is there's a total synchronicity at the moment between the military, the corrupt political, and everything that's being directed by the Israeli lobby. No, I'm just trying to pull this from our archive, and we're having some. We just have to do a little additional search here. Okay, here we go. Right, watch this.
Never in the history of the world have all the players been on the stage. Iran, Russia, China, Europe, America. Everything is absolutely perfect.
Perfect for John Hagee, this absolute maniac, religious fanatic.
The final battle for global supremacy will be the mother of all wars at Armageddon.
There are two Armageddon lobbies in the world. There are the extreme Islamic Armageddon lobby that believe in a final conflict between Islam and everyone else. And then there is the Armageddon lobby of American evangelicals. Evangelical American voters in the Republican Party want a final conflict with all other religions, all other political points of view. They see it as us versus them, true Christians versus everyone else.
Nation shall rise up against nation. And as we see these things increase in intensity and frequency, we can know that the Lord is going to return.
We don't want peace, we being evangelicals. We want Armageddon. Bring it on. Their view of Zionism is not going to either help Israel or any individual Jew. Their view of Zionism is apocalyptic. So when Israel is finally attacked by, say, a nuclear-armed Iran, that suits the Christians fine. It's exactly what they're prophesying. Then we'll have a big last battle, Jesus comes back, and we're all going to heaven.
Are you listening, Iran? Are you listening, Russia? God's going to wipe you out.
The scary thing is we are armed with the largest and most powerful military on earth and thousands of nuclear weapons. And so when you put Armageddon lobby together with American power, it's a different deal.
So, folks, you can see what the problem is here. You know, what we're showing you, this is very real. A lot of these people in power, this is what's guiding them. Some people are pretending to follow this, and they're really just using the Christian narratives for the gullible to get them to, fight the wars or go along with it. They themselves are not actually religious. Their religion is money. That's their number one. And that not just Christians, you have people in all sects in the world that use religion as a facade. Look at the Gulf states as an example. They're all about money and power. And the religion is just window dressing in order to maintain that power. They try to be outwardly pious. The same with the U.S., the same with the Trump administration. Now, on that topic, where we're going to go right now, I have to show you a clip from the White House. And these outward displays of, alleged piety and virtue signaling, which is just nauseating at this point. This is like now sort of stock in trade, at least with this president. These people, listen, they're fanatics, okay? This is not normal. This is not normal. There's nothing normal about it. There's nothing Christian about it. This is a total perversion. This is Donald Trump, one of the prayer breakfasts here. And the woman in the red coat, pay attention to her. That's Donald Trump's spiritual advisor, who's a complete nut job. Okay? Watch.
Honored to come before your presence today, lifting up the arms of our president. We pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon him. We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide him in these challenging times that we're facing today. I pray for your grace and your protection over him. I pray for your grace and protection over our troops and all of our men and women serving in our armed forces. And Father, we just pray you will continue to give our president the strength that he needs to lead our great nation as we come back to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray your heavenly blessing upon him in Jesus' name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a cult. Okay? The U.S. government is occupied. Okay? This is a cult that's being steered. It's being controlled by a foreign lobby. This is a problem, okay? But this is the reality of the situation right now. You got to accept this is, if you're still on the MAGA and the QAnon, delusional magic carpet ride at this point, folks, it's time to wake up. These people are actively trying to trigger World War III. Whether consciously or not, that is what is happening. That's where this is going to end up. It's not going to be contained. And whether it takes 6 months or 12 months or 2 years, the U.S., this administration, this Israeli-occupied, controlled administration, this government, this is a coup. They want to put U.S. boots on the ground in Iran, and they will, given enough time. Now, you might say there might be hawks on YouTube and saying, oh, Iran's won this, the U.S. is going to lose, and da-da-da. I don't know who's going to win or lose. But I know one thing is guaranteed. The United States has the capability of killing a lot of people, as does Israel. They've already proven they can do it. They've proven they have no conscience. They've proven that they'll do it, and they don't care if anybody opposes them, because no one's strong enough to stop them without risking a major global conflagration. But that conflagration may end up coming anyway by the end of this. They don't care. These people are arrogant. They're corrupt. They hide behind the Christian identity, Christian faith, pretending it's some kind of armor of God. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. This is a cult, a type of a Christian nationalist cult, but it's much deeper than that. They believe that they can bring World War III if they will it. That's the difference between, Christian Zionist end times fanatics and, they have a lot in common with ISIS. Okay, Christian Zionists and evangelicals and ISIS are two sides of the same coin. And so are Zionists, Jewish Zionists. They're all the same. They're different flavors of the same type of extreme fanaticism. Okay? Yeah, that's what you have to understand. There's very little difference between them. It's superficial, the difference. At the core, they're nihilists. And these are cults. They're predicated on power and manipulating large groups of people to do things for the interests of a very small elite cadre at the top. Okay. But generally, the difference between the Christian Zionist end times eschatology and the end times that many Muslims follow is the Christians are crusaders. They believe in thou will it will happen. Thou will it. In other words, they're going to make the prophecy happen. They're actively trying to push the narrative to create the prophecy with their own hands and actions. Whereas many many in the Islamic faith who recognize an end times narrative, they're not actively working to try to make it happen. That's the big difference. They're not crusaders in the Christian sense. And that's the danger. And the Crusaders have nuclear weapons. So here's Pete Hegseth. Now, let's look at Pete Hegseth for a moment. And by the way, go to 21st Century Wire and get this article and share it. It's one of the most important articles we've ever published. The links in here, the resources are all there. Everything you need, it's a one-stop shop about what we're talking about right now. Okay? But this is the Secretary of War here, the self-styled Secretary of War. That's Pete Hegseth. You can see he's got the Cross of Jerusalem tattooed on his chest, and on his arm you can see an AR-15 Jesus rifle and a flag and some other markings and illustrations and whatnot. But that's not the most interesting thing. So yeah, he believes he's a crusader. He believes that he is taking part in the 9th or 10th crusade, that this is another crusade. Okay. But here he is showing off in front of the troops, pretending to be like one of the boys. And you can see we blow up his bicep here and says dos voit in Latin, upper bicep. That means thou will it. And he's saying thou will or God wills it. He's basically, this is very similar to the occult or the Kabbalist type of, extreme kind of occult, esoteric. It's very, very similar. Okay. It's fanaticism. But below that is something in Arabic. That's what I want you to also look at here. That's Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. Then he changed the name to Secretary of War because he wanted to start a war, and now that war is happening. And that's the Arabic there. And that translates roughly into this. He's got his Arabic writing tattooed below his Latin dus vote. And it's kafir. Kafir roughly translated as infidel. Infidel. So Pete Hegseth has infidel tattooed on his body. Okay? It means unbeliever. So, one might look at this and say, oh, he's doing that to scare the Muslims. And to some degree, I can see a lot of crazy, psychotic U.S. military people will have like skull and crossbones or some sort of satanic tattoos to show what warriors they are, and to somehow, think in some way they're scaring the savage Hajis or Muslims or whatever names they would call them over the years after 9/11. But here he's saying, I'm an infidel. I'm an infidel. I'm an unbeliever. I'm an infidel. In Arabic, the message is the same. So when these people are calling themselves infidels, believe them. Believe them. He's got that next to the cross of Jerusalem. So he's an infidel crusader. And so just think about how this motivates the enemies of the United States or Islamist extremism. They can look at this and it's basically giving them what more do we need to case closed, folks. So people like Pete Hegseth in their psychopathy are motivating the opposition they claim to be fighting. These people are crazy, okay? And they put the Israeli lobby, the billionaire class, the Mary Madelsons of the world, have installed people like this into the most powerful position in the world right now. And nobody could push back against it because all of our congressmen and in the Senate confirmation hearings, they're all bought and paid for by the same billionaire lobby that put Pete Hegseth in. So it's a no-brainer, folks. I mean, how much more explanation do we need? So that's the long and the short of that. But another thing came up in this article by Freddie Ponton at 21st Century. JINSA. It's one of many Jewish organizations working with the U.S. military. They're called the Jewish Institute for National Security of America, JINSA. It's very strange. Like, what are they doing with our military? Well, they're taking our generals and admirals for indoctrination tours to Israel. So they're indoctrinating the command structure. They're trying to identify the potential gullible religious fanatics within the military, bring them to Israel for these very, very well-organized indoctrination tours, where there's all sorts of, let's just call it, quote, team building. And they're really pushing the Christian Zionist angle. And the IDF and the Israeli government love this because this is how they inject their ideology back into the U.S. military all the way down the command structure through programs like this. This is not the only organization. Okay, this is one of dozens of organizations. We just chose this one as an example. The full links are in the article. You can go and check this out for yourself. Don't take our word for it. Follow the links. So, giving you sort of an idea of what we're dealing with here. Now, the other component to this, and I'm going to save this for the Overdrive segment, but the AI component is the next part of this story. Look at the hellscape in Gaza. I don't need to show the images anymore. I might do if there's one or two up here, but no, we've eliminated a lot of that from our bank of images. But that hellscape is also a result of the Israeli and U.S. Joint Command prosecuting the genocide in Gaza. Joint operations. It's not separate. That's one of the big lies that the U.S. government has managed to fool the public, saying that Israel's doing everything in Gaza. No, it's Joint Command. And they're relying on AI to make decisions on targeting, to qualify, quote, qualify targets. So everything is scored as somehow, it's not whether it's a terrorist target or not, it's all done on a spectrum. Targets are given like social credit scores, worthiness of whether they should survive or not. And if that dial tips over the 50% mark, a little bit into the red, boom. Well, we better, just in case, we might as well, better be safe than sorry. Let's just flatten that building. Let's just destroy that city block. They're doing it to southern Lebanon now. They're doing it to Beirut, a major Middle Eastern city. They're ordering tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to evacuate whole city blocks so that they could be flattened. And they're justifying this, claiming that it's a war on terror. Israel's doing that in other countries, not just Gaza. And everyone's able to sit back, and the U.S. brass love this. It's like, no, we don't have to be responsible. It's the computer. It's the AI. And we've done our risk assessment, and it's too risky to let that building or that hospital or that school stand. We have to destroy it. Oh, it's not me, it's the computer. That's where we're heading. So you've got these fanatics, religious nut jobs infused into the military, reliant on computers now, and computers that, when running war game scenarios, I will give you a sneak preview. We'll talk about this in the next segment. Study finds that ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini deploy tactical nuclear weapons in 95% of 21 simulated war game scenarios and never surrendered. The problem is they found the AI always leans towards the use of nuclear weapons. So what I'm telling you, I'm leading you to this part of the story for a reason. Everything I just said in the last 5 minutes, this is the natural conclusion. That's why you should be concerned. And these people are talking about a preemptive nuclear strike, tactical or strategic, whatever, low yield or high yield against Iran, to prevent them from, I don't know what. They don't have Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. So the people who do have them want to use them to prevent Iran from getting them, because clearly they can't win a conventional war. They didn't tell you that before they launched the war, of course, but it's kind of how it goes. So I'm just putting you in the frame here and just letting you know this is what we're dealing with, okay? And one last thing on Pete Hegseth, and this cannot be stressed enough. Why was Pete Hegseth selected by Mary Madelson and Netanyahu to be Trump's Secretary of Defense? Why would they select, a 42-year-old with no experience, with no rank in the U.S. military, who's just an average reservist with this checkered personal life, whose greatest achievement career-wise is to be a mediocre weekend host on a propaganda platform like Fox News owned by Rupert Murdoch? I mean, why would you put that person in charge of the Pentagon? Well, here's why. 2018.
And today, Jennifer and I and others had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital, was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible. I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen.
Well, let me tell you how it can happen. Israel knows how it can happen. A false flag. Israel, I would not put it past them to blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque. The problem is there's a Muslim holy site, second most holy site in Islam, is on the so-called Temple Mount. It's Al-Aqsa Mosque. And people like Pete Hegseth would like to get rid of it and build the third temple. Pete Hegseth is a paid-up member of the Red Heifer Third Temple cult. He's at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem giving the speech. That's why he was selected for Secretary of Defense, now Secretary of War. It's because of this. He was identified early on by the Israeli lobby as that's their man. That's the guy that they could, if they could get him into position, they would have total control over him. And in terms of waging World War III and, doing a false flag on Al-Aqsa Mosque and blaming it on Iran. And then you'd have massive sectarian fighting between Sunni and Shiite Muslims. And the Israelis and the Americans would love, and the British, quite frankly, would love nothing more than to watch an internecine war between Islamic sects. So any Muslims watching, don't fall for it. Okay? They want you to fight each other as long as you're not fighting them or, resisting them. You heard it from the horse's mouth, folks. So that's Pete Hegseth, 2018, 8 years ago at the King David Hotel, of all places. I don't have to tell you the history of the King David Hotel. Site of one of the first modern terrorist attacks where Jewish terrorists killed British soldiers, and many people died. And it was one of the biggest terrorist attacks that helped to intimidate the British and the global community to fast track the creation of the state of Israel, and also the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population, the native Palestinian population. That's an ethnic cleansing and genocide which is still going on to this day. And they're now expanding that ethnic cleansing and genocide into Lebanon. So the Greater Israel Project, Pete Hegseth is 100% behind it. He supports all of this, as you can see. That actually happened. And he actually said that. So just so you know. So look, we can talk about that more during the extra. Look, and before I got a special segment I'm going to play. Special guest dropped by before the show. It was dark. His sun wasn't up, but it was just last night. So we pre-recorded it, a part of it anyway. The full interview we'll put up on 21wire.tv for members. And then we'll eventually repost that publicly. But I've got a little clip from that. The title of this program is The Masters of War. That's the theme of today's show. That's a great track by Bob Dylan, a classic. But we talked to Joseph about, anti-war songs. He's just written one. He's going to share with us. We'll play that. We'll play Joseph's live rendition, and then I'll play a video that he just produced. Simple video, but we'll play that during the break, as well as another new track by the Real Anthem Band. But with, carpet bombing cities, the U.S. has done this before in Dresden, in Germany, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the leveling of Pyongyang during the Korean War, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Operation Rolling Thunder, LBJ, Henry Kissinger. Okay. The U.S. has done this before. A lot of international treaties, laws, institutions have been put in place to prevent this type of total warfare with no real objective other than to try to kill your way to victory. This is what Israel does routinely, and especially since October 7th. And this is what the U.S. are adopting as their new doctrine. You cannot tell the difference between this administration and the Israeli regime. The Trump regime and the Israeli regime, the Netanyahu regime have merged. They speak the same. They use the same tactics. They have the same lack of morals, lack of values, and their thirst for violence and total warfare is synonymous now. They're dragging us back 80 years. So any progress, or at least even the illusion of progress, even if it's contentious progress, problematic progress, but they are now openly trying to turn the clock back 80 years or more. I would say even a few hundred years. If you if you combine this with this idea of Christian crusades and end times Armageddon, okay, Western civilization is proving that it has failed. It's a failure. If this is where they're taking us, the United States and Western civilization as a whole are an utter failure. Absolute, catastrophic, unmitigated disaster and a failure. Any progress that's been made up to this point, if this is the way it's going, and this is what people are going to accept as the new normal, you've achieved nothing. Western civilization it's a mirage. So in times like this, it's important that, music and art are still one of the best ways that we can communicate. We do what we can on that front. But one of the great people in this department, of course, is Joseph Arthur. Here's a clip from a discussion we had just last night, and a special rare performance by what I think is one of the greatest singer-songwriters of our generation, and definitely on the scene at the moment. So here's a little clip from our discussion. We'll bring this up in a moment. Hold on one second. So if our politicians, if our media, if people in general stuck to their principles rather than their party, or rather than their perceived ideology or whatever they identify with, political identity, but held the principles dear, I think we'd be in a better place. Just at least if anything goes wrong, there's a path to try to repair it. There's an off ramp. It's really difficult to see the off ramp at the moment, though. I admit I'm finding it very challenging, and
I don't see it. It's real spooky. It's it's terrifying, really. So, but I think that, and there you go. That's where the muse kicks you in the behind and says, dude, you got to write a song, because, you have a lot of people speaking on this stuff, news editorials and talking heads on the internet all over. But we also need music. We need songs to protest war and to try to bring about peace. I mean, everybody's got to sort of do their part to try to push humanity in the direction they wish it would go.
So anyway, we got a few minutes left, and I'm hoping we can get an unplugged rendition of this. What's this song called?
Nobody's War.
And how was it born? Tell us the the events that led up to this song being written and performed.
It was a poem in the gym. That's in the early AM, and then when I got home at night, and I didn't know if it was just going to be a poem. And then I like that, the opening line, nobody here wants your war. And I just picked this guitar up. That's why I'm playing this guitar, because this guitar gave it to me. And it came out. It's got it's an unusual tone for me, because it has kind of a reggae-ish vibe almost. I think you'll see in the melody or something. Which I wasn't going for. It's really just an unconscious expression, and then you find the lines, and you just sort of work on a verse here and a verse there, and it came out in 15 minutes. Like I said, it came out really fast, and then I recorded it on a dictaphone, and I posted it immediately with just a video picture that I put a glitch effect on and some lyrics, but I haven't put a proper version out yet, so this is like the debut.
Okay. Well, without further ado, the track is called "Nobody's War." I like I like it already with the title, but take it away.
All right, let me do that. Check. 1, 2.
Nobody here wants your war. We see through it all and we know the score. You sold yourself out just like before, chasing the ghost of something more. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. An endless need. It's an endless need. Nobody here wants your war. Thousands will die, maybe many more. The ghost's gonna come knocking on your door. Nobody here wants your war. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. An endless need. It's an endless need. Your war. Schoolhouses burn and the ticker runs. Who were they to you? Maybe nothing more, but they were somebody's daughters and somebody's sons. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. An endless need. It's an endless need.
Joseph, Arthur. Amazing.
How'd that sound?
Good. I got big Masters of War vibes. This is almost like the sequel to that song.
Yeah, thank you.
It was good.
Yeah, it has a Master of War vibe with it. I wasn't trying for that, but I mean, maybe you always do when you're writing an anti-war song. I mean, he's the GOAT, as they say. But the reggae vibe too, there's like nobody here. I don't know where that came from. I mean, I never write that type of thing usually, so yeah, I don't know. But,
Nobody's War. Well, I think we might be hearing more of that song. We might be hearing more of that song
for sure. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope we arrive at peace tomorrow, and and we don't need those kind of songs.
Wow. So that was fun. The full interview, it's about half hour long, and had a bit more of a deep discussion about Joseph's what's going on in his life and with his art. So we're going to put that up on 21wire.tv after the show. So for members or subscribers at 21wire.tv, you'll be able to watch the full length of that, and we'll share that publicly later. We're still working on it, actually, cleaning it up a little bit, but yeah, that was something else. So that's Joseph Arthur, Nobody's War. Great track. Look, we're going to go to break here now. We're going to hopefully connect with our colleagues on the other side. This is the Sunday Wire. And if you're watching, this is actually episode 585. It's slightly mislabeled on the number. We're going to fix that over the break time. But so, yeah, we're going to have a couple of tracks. We'll play Joseph's first draft of Nobody's War on the break. And then after that, Sean Helton, the Real Anthem Band, has released a new track called Heaven Come Down, which is absolutely an incredible track. So we got a few new songs that we're going to unveil here during this break period before Overdrive segment here on the Sunday Wire this week. Stay with us. We'll be back very shortly.
Nobody here wants your war. We see through it all and we know the score. You saw yourself off just like before, chasing the ghost of something more. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. An endless need. It's an endless need. Nobody here wants your war. Thousands will die, maybe many more. The ghosts will find you knocking on your door. Nobody here wants your war. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. It's an endless need. Endless need. It's an endless need. Endless need. Nobody here wants your war. Schoolhouse is burning, the tickers run. Who were they to you? Nothing more. But they were somebody's daughter and somebody's son. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. More money, more death, more greed makes the children bleed. More oil, more land to feed. An endless need. It's an endless need. show of secret talks, a cold stealing serpent calls. Buildings burn, masking riot shots. It's TV terror, watch the will of God. Hey, here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. The culture cults consuming all our lives. Rejuvenate, resist the pulling dark. False flags and endless wars. Mass form psychosis waged. Forced medical tyranny. The complications we'll soon see. Hey, here we are. Heaven come down. Here we are. Heaven come down. Heaven come down.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Thank you for joining us. Again, we're streaming out live on Alternate Current Radio, 21st Century Wire, YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook Live, BitChute, and also on the audio streams after the program as well. And before, in the previous segment, we talked about your last push for our winter fundraising drive. And we'll put that up on screen once again. Look, we want to push today only. We're about $3,500 short of a $20,000 mark. So we're at about 16.5. And listen, if there's anyone out there, and there's a few of you I know that probably could help us, we're asking you to mobilize. We've already begun doing substantial upgrades in terms of our equipment, staff as well. We're able to take on some new features writers. So we're commissioning some articles. So there's a lot of things going on, as well as on-location reporting, which we've already begun doing over the last couple of weeks. That's all because of you and your support. And so we put this QR code here to kind of make it easy. I'll leave that up on screen in the moment. Just hit that QR code just here in the upper, I believe, left-hand corner. So, yeah, and I'll take you to our donate page. So listen, if we can make it, if we can push, let's make this one memorable for 2026. The Winter Fundraising Drive has been amazing. You guys have all been amazing. And I'm talking to people who have donated to us back in 2014, 2015, when we did our first coordinated fundraising drive was 2016. And I'm talking to people that have supported us since then. And so we really need your help now more than ever. So you're going to help make this happen. And I'd love to read off all the names of the people since we hit our mark 3 weeks ago, the 15 mark. I'd love to read out all those names. We'll read out some of those names maybe next week, but there's just too many people. I mean, everybody who's supported us. And those of you who have subscribed and become a member at 21wired.tv as well. And again, it's enabled us to do a lot more. We'll be putting more premium content up. So we're just able to increase our bandwidth a lot and try to push things forward a little bit. Also enables me to get out into the field more, which is really important as we've seen. I think it's made an impact already. So there's the QR code. I'll leave that up for a bit. And we might put that up on the live stream after at the end of the show. But in the meantime, we have to get to business. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. Let me just bring some of my colleagues up onto the stage right now. And one of those is Mr. Adam Clark, also known as Ruckus, is joining us on the live stream right now. Let me get. I'm being pushed out by this QR code. Hold on, there we go.
Can't see you, Pat. What's going on there?
I've become a Borg with the QR code. But yeah, Ruckus, thanks for having us. The artwork is scary, very scary. That's pretty scary.
Well, it seems to fit the theme of the show, ironically enough. I'm not sure 100% that I planned it that way. It's wonderful to hear from our dear friends and colleagues who happen to be musicians. Absolutely loved that track from Joseph, followed up by a banger there by Sean. Man, good stuff. And who knew? I mean, but have you heard these guys? Were you aware of this three-piece band here, Patrick? I actually, hold on, I can probably put them up front and center for you. This is a couple, this is them in action right there for you. They are a three-piece band, of course, don't you know? Here, let's see if I can replay that in case everybody missed it. But yeah, they got themselves a drummer there. They've got themselves a guitar player who's also the vocalist with a hairpiece. They got the keyboard player. They've got a sound that you'll really enjoy, of course, but they only know one song, Patrick, unfortunately.
Yeah, what are they called? Are they called the End Times or?
Well, I thought these were the Masters of War. See, that's
the Masters of War.
Confused.
Okay, yeah. I thought they'd be called like the Rapture or something like that. But
I think they're open for some band suggestions, just band name suggestions. So if you're in the chat room, let us know what you think this trio should be called.
I don't know what to say. If they were scheduled to play at a venue close to me, I cannot promise that that people are going to be well behaved. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, or the arena won't get torched. But anyway, let's not digress. Hesher, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks. Good to see you guys. I have a band name suggestion for them. Let's call them Blues for the Red Heifer.
Yeah, the Blue Heifer. The Blue Heifer. Yeah, that's probably more like it. I think we got Basil. I see Basil Valentine has arrived in the green room. We're gonna cycle him up here, Mr. Valentine. I see you're hanging out with our friend Jeff and Jelaine. Where are they? Are you in New Zealand? Is that where they're keeping them?
Apparently, that photograph was taken at Balmoral.
At Balmoral,
as everybody knows, is one of the premier royal residences up there in Scotland, where the royal family go for Christmas and New Year celebrations every year.
Very fetching with Jeff with the sunglasses on the hair like that. Kind of a relaxed mode, sort of a casual snapshot. I mean,
that's right.
That's good.
Obviously, they were guests of Andrew.
Of course.
Up there at Balmoral. He also made his way into the royal enclosure at Royal Ascot 20 or so years ago.
Oh, so this would have been, hold on, this sort of crosses over with Jimmy Savile when he was private secretary of Prince Charles.
Little bit later. little bit. They kind
okay.
of dovetail with each other. Savile was kind of on his way out of royal favor as Epstein was coming into royal favor.
I see.
We don't know who Epstein met in the royal enclosure at that time, a very gregarious fellow. We don't know who he shook hands with and exchanged pleasantries with, or for that matter, whether or not he backed a winner. But put it this way, Prince Andrew certainly backed a loser with Epstein. My God.
Yeah.
One of the biggest losers of all time.
Well, wasn't Epstein providing bailout funds for Prince Andrew's wife, Fergie? I mean, that's the implication.
Yes,
yeah.
He gave her a lot of money, apparently. She was very keen to introduce her daughters to him. I don't know if that ever happened.
Yeah, hand over your firstborn. Hand over to Rumpelstiltskin. Hand over your firstborn.
That's right. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So prophetic, isn't it?
So, yeah, and on it goes. I mean, I put that up, of course, because a lot of people are saying, are we on the brink of World War III because of what this bloke collected, the compromise he collected on Donald Trump?
Yeah. Well, okay, gentlemen, I want to kick off the conversation here with a video clip. This is from that documentary that is called Praying for Armageddon. And I'm not sure if we've seen this clip yet, but I think it's one of the remaining clips. But I think it's quite powerful enough that I think it will definitely raise some discussion here. But here it is.
In the media, we've seen images of Crusader symbols, of Christian symbols, of units deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan.
We had 138 U.S. Marines that came to us in Helmand province in Afghanistan. They were walking into the villages out there, and the village elders, most of them hadn't even heard of 9/11, but they'd heard of what I ended up calling the Jesus rifle. A company called Trigicon, based out of Michigan. They had about a $2 billion contract to make rifle scopes for our military. On the scopes, if you look closely, were biblical citations from the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Revelation. It was burned into the scope. Now think of the optics of American soldiers shooting Muslims in Afghanistan through the scopes that have the New Testament citations. These are Air Force fighters that can carry nuclear weapons. Complete Crusader iconography, complete with the helmet, the 3 cross-shaped stars, of course the sword and the crucifix. All stuff like this does is completely motivate the recruiting efforts of Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, ISIS, the Mujahideen, and the Taliban. How do they refer to America? The Crusaders. This doesn't help.
So that last bit is actually marketing for the arms company there, Crusader Arms. I mean, I want to go to Hesher first because I know Hesher, you're more familiar with this sector, this industry. Have you seen anything equivalent of this? I'm sure you have seen a lot, but your comments on what you just witnessed there.
Well, it is very popular marketing, for the warrior class. I suppose there are probably more Christian-oriented people going into the Army and, the Marines and maybe the Navy and the Air Force. But, it's America. It's a secular country. It's definitely not everyone in those forces, but the aesthetic is sort of pervasive. So on the one hand, I kind of let all that stuff roll off my back. But on the other hand, when you look at it, from the other side of that Trigicon scope and you look at the iconography, it's actually pretty dangerous. It kind of makes you take pause and go, well, wait a minute. Are we really wanting to promote the idea of holy wars? Ideological, theological wars and, crimes against humanity, atrocities, genocides, ethnic cleansing, things like that happening with holy iconography attached to them. That is a dangerous game that is being played right there. And I actually have a ACOG in the other room. Maybe I'll go look at it and see if it has any of those inscriptions on it. I wonder if they're still doing that on the modern ones. I believe the one I have might even be an old one. So I'll go check it when you come off focus on me. But yeah, it's not a good look at this point. It's really not a good look, especially considering people that have seen I can't remember the lady's name, but that psycho blonde lady that's Trump's religious advisor or something like that.
Paula White.
Oh my God, man. This woman, insane, absolutely insane. When I first saw the first video of her, I thought I was watching an AI video. It was too much. I was just like, no, this is, but then I watched 2 more and 3 more and then a compilation. And I said, oh my God. So it's you got people like that running around saying stuff like that. And then people like Hegseth with that clip you played earlier, all these red heifer cultists and stuff. It's not a good look. I don't know what else to say.
Well, Ruckus, your reactions to the clip and anything else in this sort of area that we've been laying out today.
Yeah, it's shocking but not surprising. It's one of those things. There's so many of those things these days, aren't there? Yeah, I mean, where do these people get off? I mean, I don't know. If I were a religious Bible-believing person, oh wait, I am a Bible-believing person, but I'm not very religious, of course. I don't belong to any denomination per se. But the thing is, when you look at the source material and the characters and the stories that we're discussing here, I think I would be a little bit more hesitant and careful, dot my I's, cross my T, do a little deeper research before I start saying and doing these things in the name of Almighty God. Because I'm just guessing that if maybe you're wrong, Almighty God might be able to do something about it. And I don't know how many missiles you think are going to help you in that department. None. So yeah, and it's just, this is all, it's a joke. It's all, what we're witnessing here are a group of shadowy, unknown elites. We can guess about who they are. They're probably all in the Epstein files, all behind those black bars, of course, other redactions. But they are using these 2 to 3 major religions as pawns to orchestrate their goals. I was just on the program Weaponized News recently with Sam Cheney. He's been recently reporting on the, reminding folks about this alleged letter between the high-level Freemason Albert Pike and Manzini of Italy. I'm trying to remember his name, Giuseppe, I think. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Everyone knows this letter where he was describing what World War III would be like. And it really looks like, again, that this is something that they, whoever they are, have been planned out for a very long time. And the religion thing, again, it's a very convenient thing for these people, but we're talking about religion. You think you might want to take some pause, think it through before you act. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I share some of your same sentiments there, Ruckus. I just find the new revelation that I've just come to realize is how deeply embedded and how this has infected the U.S. military command structure, especially at this point in time, at this point in history, what's happening the last couple of weeks. It takes on a whole nother dimension to it that maybe wasn't so manifest before, and now it's a little bit, it's getting a little bit too close for comfort. There, I see. Oh, he's got the styrofoam replica there. Yeah, I like the styrofoam replicas. They're so accurate too. They look almost like the real thing.
Yeah, styrofoam replica, 50 state compliant, only holds one Nerf round.
Yeah. It's exactly a replica of what type of gun is that? A replica of that styrofoam model that you're holding?
Springfield M1A.
So that's amazing how accurate they are with carving the styrofoam and the balsa wood replicas as well. That lightweight wood,
very lightweight.
Yeah. So they're not real guns, obviously.
Those are 38 though. JN 38 is on this, and I've never noticed it before. It's the exact same optic that is shown in that video.
Jesus rifle. That's it. Holy smokes, you've got one.
Right here in the safe, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is a balsa wood replica of a real gun. It's obviously not a real gun because Hesher would never.
John 3:18.
Talking of replicas, I saw that the Iranians have bought hundreds of thousands of inflatable tanks and helicopters.
Yes, but be careful. Some of those are AI videos. Just be careful. Yeah, I've yet to get confirmation on the scope of those claims. It's possible they're using inflatables. I know they're painting on the ground fighters, and those silhouettes have been hit by $1 million U.S. munitions have been wasted on bombing painted silhouettes of fighter jets on the tarmac. But yeah, Basil, if true, if there are inflatables being used, which is very possible there are, that's an incredible,
tactic.
Yeah,
brilliant tactic. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. On the eschatological end times religious fanaticism, Basil, what are your? I know you've got a lot probably to say on this, but based on what we showed, what we're talking about, Hegseth, others, Huckabee, plus the U.S. military proselytizing within the ranks. What are your feelings and general thoughts?
Paula White is sadly all too typical of this charismatic strand of evangelical Christianity that features things like speaking in tongues, which is referred to in the New Testament as a sort of direct God language. I don't know if any of you have come across anybody speaking in tongues. That is sort of what Paula White, in her own rather phony, forced way, is doing in that clip we played on UK Column News on Sunday. Hysterical outbursts in her case. Other times, speaking in tongues is speaking completely unintelligible languages that supposedly come straight from God. Those are both features of this charismatic evangelical Christianity, but the theology of it belongs in the kindergarten. And there are fundamental misunderstandings of the whole point of Christ, his mission, the new covenant, etc., with so-called Christian Zionism. Central to which, of course, is the fact that Judaism, the Jewish people, explicitly rejected Christ and still do to this day. Whether or not you want to go as far as saying they killed him, they crucified him. I saw a rabbi laughing at Christians today. I don't know that the clip was filmed today, but certainly very recently, because Christians say that Jesus Christ is God, and yet he was killed. How can he be God if he was killed? You can't kill a God. So there's sort of ludicrousness, in his view anyway, of the whole Christian message was pointed out there. But the central point is that by rejecting Christ, the Jewish people lost their chosen race status, and the new chosen race, the new people of Israel, are the followers of Christ. That was the whole point of his mission. He fulfilled the prophecies in the Old Testament scriptures. The fact that they failed to recognize him, that's their problem. They rejected the host. But
according to Christian belief, according to Christian belief,
conventional. Well, I wouldn't say conventional theology. I mean, it's just fundamental to what
Jesus Christ
is.
was the Meshach, was the Messiah. That's the Christian scriptures. That's the whole religion is based on that. That Christianity is the new covenant with God.
So if you continue to believe that certainly this modern iteration of Israel, the nation state founded in 1948, somehow represents a people chosen by God to take precedence over everything, it seems, over other Christians, over any other ideology, but fundamentally over Christian values, which are of forgiveness and compassion, values explicitly rejected by Zionism, which openly talks about taking revenge and the language of ultra-violence that we saw in that clip. Now, I've seen some explainers on the internet, this week, that Catholic who was kicked off, ironically, the Religious Freedom Panel, Carrie Jean Broller, and others, very disappointingly not backed up by senior Catholic clergy that I've seen, one or two, Episcopalian Church of England people speaking out, because suddenly this issue, which had been frankly buried or was considered irrelevant for decades, has now come to the fore, because it's taking us to the brink of World War III and Armageddon. So, I've seen lengthy posts on social media explaining what I've just set out, that Christ fulfilled the Old Testament prophecies, and that the Jewish people lost their chosen race status.
It wasn't chosen race. It's chosen faith, not race.
Okay.
But race has been superimposed after 1948 or
chosen people, shall we say? Chosen people.
But
the chosen people now, of course, are the followers of Christ. Simple as that. Who believe in love, compassion, mercy, all these qualities which Zionism certainly rejects. Of course, other Jewish sects are completely different theology. Although they may reject Christ, they nevertheless stick by the 10 Commandments. There are plenty of other Jewish denominations that are anti-war. We've got the anti-Zionist Jewish organization were protesting outside a court in Britain only last week, where people were being prosecuted for something to do with the whole farrago that's going on in the UK with the courts. There are so many cases, it's hard to keep up, and of course the true Torah Jews, various other Orthodox sects that explicitly reject Zionism, as do a lot of younger secular Jewish people. But the unholy alliance of these utterly moronic, there's no other way to describe them, because, as I say, it's the theology of the kindergarten. I came into contact tangentially through the Christian Union at school with people of this ilk, and aged 13, I thought, oh wow, this is tremendously exciting. We're going to get the second coming, and all this stuff. But it's pathetically simplistic, as well as being fundamentally wrong. So we've got these people that they might look grown up, but they've got the minds of adolescents, of pubescents, I can promise you.
Okay, well, thank you. Basil Valentine, formerly the Sunday Wire's roving correspondent for culture and sport, now the Sunday Wire's roving correspondent for culture, sport, and religion, or actually a religious correspondent. I think that is actually your natural wheelhouse, Basil. As a self-avowed spiritual tourist, you have been around all sorts of different sects, cults, churches, faiths, everything. So you know the full range when we're talking about these issues. You have a good sort of wide comparative analytical vocabulary, I think, with a lot of
that's
these
right. And that this sort of evangelical Christianity has been a subset of Protestantism for many, many years. But, the Church of England sort of tolerated it because it was the most active and tended to bring in more young people than traditional liturgy, So it had what was called the Happy Clappy Brigade, I don't know if you've heard that term to refer to evangelical Christians. Suddenly you had sort of quasi-rock bands performing in churches, everybody like this, very different from the rough collar and singing the anthems of Stanford and all the rest of it, of the Church of England that I grew up in. The Roman Catholic Church has never had an idiot wing like this. It's got its own forms of idiocy, of course, but it never had an idiot wing like that. But as I say, it was tolerated by other Christian denominations because they were bringing in young people and were often some of the most, hence the description, charismatic preachers, would tour schools and all the rest of it and really fire people up in a way that your day-to-day priest simply going through Holy Communion and Matins and all the rest of it often fail to do. So as a result, this evangelical wing, which has many strands, and not all of them are homicidal psychopaths. Some evangelicals would reject the Christian Zionism, but this was allowed to flourish, and as we can see now, from that picture of Trump, I know Hesher said, the United States is still a secular society, but from what I can tell, Judaic Zionism and Christian Zionism has become the official ideology of the United States, certainly in the way this war is being prosecuted.
Well, look, for popular demand, people are demanding that we show the clip from Paula White. I'm getting a lot of prompts in the chat on this. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Donald Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White.
And strike and strike and strike and strike and strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says, it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike didi ashata. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now, Africa right now, Africa right now, from Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here in the name of Jesus. From South America, they're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here from Africa, from South America. Angelic forces, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement. Pika hata anda ata ora bata rata anda eke eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound of victory.
This is what passes as church. Now, I mean, that's just the speaking in tongues.
I think that that's sort of speaking in. That's the speaking in tongues,
right? So it's just like channeling some sounds and making like a new language, language sort of thing. Maybe AI can translate that for us. Maybe run that through Claude, please, if you guys can. If anybody out there, run that through Claude. Ruckus, you seem to be completely enthralled and completely mesmerized by Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White. This is the President of the United States' spiritual advisor here. Your thoughts, Ruckus?
I'm like, it's because she's casting a spell and it's starting to work. If you pay attention, she's just repeating and chanting and doing all of these things. Spell casting. She acts and looks far more like a witch than a pastor. Look up the definition of pastor, folks, if you want a fun time. Anyway, she's crazy. And when I saw her doing this thing with her hand, it was not long after I was, doing some research into there's another religion where they like to do something with their hand where they swing it around with like a chicken. Anyways, maybe I shouldn't go there. We'll get in trouble.
Oh, the chickens. Yeah. We won't talk about the chickens.
Isn't it of all, there are so many denominations of each of these faiths, all of these faiths. So Judaism, Christianity, and of course, Islam. Isn't it interesting that the most extreme ones who are willing to go to war are the ones that are portrayed to being in control or have embedded themselves deeply within the proper places to help get this all rocking and rolling. Some would say, oh, well, that's divine intervention. That's God's hand moving those pieces around. I strongly think not.
I just noticed something. Did you guys catch this? Sam Altman in shorts and a T-shirt just sort of munting along behind her on stage. I mean, did you guys check this? That's Sam. Is that Sam Altman?
I wondered who that was. It's somebody
looks like Sam Altman.
Casually wandering up and down.
CEO of Open. Yeah, it's the CEO of OpenAI. What's he doing there with Trump's spiritual advisor? I don't know. Maybe I'm just completely conspiratorial. Maybe
he's throwing T-shirts out to the audience. This is like a sporting event, Patrick.
Yeah, there he is again. There's Altman. Like,
with
what's
the jacket over his arm? It's really peculiar.
Just munting back and forth like he's on a festival site and he's had too much to drink the previous night.
He's reading the program. Where shall I go next?
He's reading the Festival Eye. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys. I mean, that's just on the weird spectrum scale. It's just, but that's the president of the United States' spiritual advisor. She has like literally a pass to go into the Oval Office whenever she wants. I mean,
I think we may have just found out where the mystery white powder came from in the White House during the previous administration. My goodness, that looked like it was fueled by booger sugar, not fueled by the Lord.
It was something, or rather, maybe it was pharmaceutical. Who knows? But
it can involve possession of some kind, and in her case, casting what appears to be all that strike. She's talking about blowing people up, I suppose.
Possession
would therefore point to some form of demonic possession. Exactly.
I'm thinking possession more.
Mass hysteria. Go on.
I'm thinking more possession along the lines of Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Possession of large sums of money.
Possession of that too. Yes, exactly.
Private jets and
you
that's
get
the
pretty
possession.
high on that.
Very high. It's very intoxicating. Yeah, as the guy on the veranda behind you would testify to, Basil, it's very intoxicating. The private jets, the lifestyle. Just move a little bit to your left so we can get a look at at Jeff there, and that's a young Ghislaine, isn't it? She was sort of in her prime. That's when she was a bit of a card back then, wasn't she? She was.
Yes.
She doesn't look great now, but back then she sort of had some charm, I guess.
People are questioning whether it's even her because she looked, the latest figure that appeared in prison, doesn't look like that woman.
Yeah, it's like, hi, I'm the daughter of Robert Maxwell, Israeli super spy. Nice to meet you. It's a great opening line.
That's right.
Gentlemen, so okay, now I want to bring this onto the fore as well. I spoke about the AI issue beforehand, and I want to get into this, and I want to go to Hesher first on this because, again, we're talking about the sort of defense sort of sector. So let's bring this up. But when we're talking about AI, guys, you guys are probably aware of the whole upheaval with Anthropic AI and the Pentagon, and the Anthropic wanting to pull back from wanted in their contract that they didn't want AI to make kill decisions. There was a couple of other provisions there. We're told that Anthropic caved eventually and said that they would allow all these sort of things that the Pentagon wanted the AI to do. And Sam Altman was there in the background, ready to jump in, basically, enthusiastically with OpenAI. But here is you guys remember when we talked about wargaming with Iran? You probably remember the Millennium Challenge 2002. They wargamed a war against Iran, and the U.S. lost. And so this is always quoted as a justification for not going to war with Iran. But I think it's important, and I want to discuss this with you along with the AI issue, guys. But after October 7th, this war game is pretty much null and void, because there was always that variable that the U.S. wouldn't be involved in mass, targeting civilian populations or carpet bombing neighborhoods. That modern warfare didn't include that per se. So war games were done along these prescribed lines of, what was allowable, what was ethical. And all of that, the Israelis have wiped all that out now. There's no expectation of restraint when it comes to targeting civilian areas, and the U.S. is now demonstrating that in Iran. So that's why when I look at this war game, it doesn't seem relevant. And why is this important? Because of this. Well, there he is, Sam Altman. That's the face of the Pentagon right now. And by the way, is he an Israeli firster like Alex Karp, head of Palantir? That's an important question that people need to ask. These people are controlling the main nodes of the U.S. military. So a new study finds ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini deployed tactical nukes in 95% of simulated war game scenarios. Okay, and the background on this was King's College in London. They placed these three main AI bots into 21 simulated crisis scenarios and military standoffs. And the systems had to make strategic decisions under pressure, including whether to escalate or step back. In 20 of 21 simulations, at least one model chose to deploy tactical nuclear weapons, which equals 95% of the time, even when facing risk of retaliation. So the AI doesn't have that human second, consideration of what would happen if they retaliate against what we're about to do. They don't seem to have that sort of human factor where that we would show restraint. The AI doesn't have the restraint. This paper, which I'll show you in a minute, was published on a peer-reviewed Cornell University. It's a King's College study, and so the findings do not mean, they claim the findings do not mean AI systems are autonomous military actors, but in fact, there is proof to show that they are at a certain level acting autonomously and choosing targets. And they raise a serious question about how such tools might behave if used in the real world. So there's the paper right there, folks. So I want to go to Hesher first. Hesher, this is why when we're looking at those old war game scenarios, not only are civilian casualties now on the table, as we've seen with Israel and Gaza, but with AI at the final, quote, decision-making, or at least target selecting, and probably default decision-making at some point, then the nuclear question comes into play as well. It just gives humans more excuses not to be accountable, not to be front and center in the whole process. Your thoughts on this, Hesher? Because I know you've worked at technology in the military level for many years, so you've seen the development, you've seen the evolution, you've seen us going in this direction many, many years ago. Now we're here, Hesher. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's personally distressing to me as someone that worked in large-scale military experimentation and dealt with these sort of war games. You can see the headline right there on the screen, the one that Patrick just described, and I can tell you that in the mid 20-teens was when I started to see this kind of thing start to seep in. I left that job in 2016, and I would say between 2013, 14, 15, and then up to 16, that sort of, you know what I mean? Like, they wanted to have human eyeballs. I've mentioned this before on the show, but it's worth repeating. They wanted to have human eyeballs, someone, a decision maker, or at least human eyeballs in the loop, right? In the quote unquote kill chain, to help minimize collateral damage. So, if they were looking for a target, they want the munitions to fall in a certain direction. Otherwise they're going to take out an entire city block. Like, that was something that used to be important. And from what I'm seeing now, just as, a normal civilian looking at all the information I can see, this does not fit. This paradigm does not fit the old rules of engagement. And the old rules of war is hell. War is a grift. War is a scam. Almost 99.9% of the time in the modern world. But at least there was some rules of engagement to try to minimize civilian damage, and it appears now that is no longer a priority. As someone who used to think they understood, at least the basics of, our military's rules of engagement, I don't feel like I do anymore. And that goes, that circles back to all the lies, the propaganda, the fake flag events, and the military operations going on everywhere right now. None of them appear modern to me. None of them appear to have any sort of ethics attached to them, or, it's like we're digressing. It's like we're moving backward as it pertains to human rights and what we all were told all this modernity would bring us, right? Like it's going to remove famine and war and all this stuff. And what do? We get manufactured pestilence. We get manufactured war. We get manufactured false reality to drive us towards psychopathic goals from people who are, some would say not even human.
Yeah, there's Ruckus has gone full Terminator there, I can see. Yeah, I mean, we're not far off, folks. We're not far off because they can't handle the human casualties. So the robots, Elon Musk, Tesla, will be delivering the solution. As we know, nobody likes government contracts more than our friend Elon Musk. In fact, he would not be the wealthiest man in the world if not for the largesse of the U.S. taxpayer subsidized industries that he seems to have a knack for landing. So corporate welfare, whatever you want to call it. Ruckus, your thoughts on AI now in the military, autonomous systems?
There's nothing worse than Skynet becoming a reality, unless it's Skynet becoming a reality thanks to your U.S. tax dollars. Yeah, this is just terrible. This is shocking. It's what I've been concerned about for the longest time, and mostly with Trump's administration. To be honest, I didn't see the war thing coming. I'm sure Patrick did, but I was more worried about the technocracy stuff, and I think it's all kind of semi-related. But all of the stuff we've been seeing here on the home front here with the ICE and the Christie Nome debacle, the Palantir, this fight between Anthropic and OpenAI about allowing their use in military to be used for the autonomous killing, and then of course the other big one, like this should have been a red flag for everybody out there. If you're still MAGA, they're like, wait a minute, why are we mad at this company because they don't want us to be spying on Americans? Where's Alex Jones? Crickets. Anyways, yeah, so there's one interesting phenomenon that has taken place as a result of this, and it cannot be ignored because it might be part of the plan. And that is that people, users, independent, regular, quote unquote, normies who interact with and pay subscriptions to ChatGPT, Sam Altman's company, have said, you know what? Screw this psychopath. We're switching over to Anthropic because there was this mass amount of support for this big tech. If you can believe it, the people willingly supported a big tech company, in this case, Anthropic, this guy's competitor, because that's Sam Altman there of OpenAI. And Dario Amodei, I believe is the CEO's name of Anthropic. People think that just because he said those two things, that he's like some sort of hero. So they're gonna vote with their money. So they're switching off of ChatGPT, who just is allegedly scoring themselves a nice fat military contract. People were like saying, Anthropic, you're stupid. You're going to lose out on that big chunk of change available to you with these nice military Well, isn't it all the same? Because aren't they ultimately going to score all of the enterprise and personal users who are going to use this for their AI agents to replace themselves at work or whatever they're going to do? And then maybe they'll interact with Grok or ChatGPT on the free plan level to make their little GIF videos, their cat lulz or whatever, their memes. But I think that this is they're sectioning out that this is like we're seeing right now what's going to ultimately happen, that basically the normal human beings are going to get cut off from the type of AI that the military and the government and certain institutions have access to, and we're going to be left with one thing as a quote unquote option. Maybe they'll do a Coke and Pepsi thing, but it's the same at the end of the day. But I see a big game changing of the guards here, and it seems quite intentional because Anthropic, in case you're worried about them spying on you, they have no problem doing business with Palantir. So hello. Yeah. So y'all have fun with your chats with Anthropic, who are selling your data onto Palantir. Yay.
Yep. Basil. Thank you, Ruckus. A lot to think about there. Basil, your thoughts on this AI, the military becoming increasingly reliant on autonomous systems, AI. You think this is just a cop-out to get out of the accountability loop for the top brass?
It looks like it. This is sort of as Ruckus said, it's a sort of Skynet nightmare future, isn't it, of so many science fiction films of the last 30 years. There's nobody to blame at the end of the day if the AI kills you. A robot dog shooting people in the street. I mean, the possibilities are just absolutely nightmarish from start to finish. The girls' school that was bombed over a week ago now, right at the beginning, killing 150 schoolgirls, which I think Trump said only in the last 24 hours the Iranians did, even though the New York Times and everybody else has said, no, actually it was us that did it. I mean, he repeated that atrocity propaganda about beheaded babies and 30, and there's a very interesting piece, look it up, about the atrocity propaganda for the 30,000. This former fashion blogger at The Guardian is the one who picked that up and ran with it. And I think Trump's been repeating that as well. But that school had apparently been part of a military installation 10 years ago. But it's since been converted for civilian purposes, obviously for educational purposes. So the suspicion is that an out-of-date database of Iranian military installations was fed into AI and came up with this as being a legitimate target as a military installation. Of course, it was nothing of the kind. Or you could look at it the other way, of course, and say, no, actually, it was very much, this is what was intended. And when we know the Israelis are targeting children in Gaza, so it's quite possible that the children were known to be the target and were deliberately targeted. I mean, at this point, there's nothing you put past this lot.
No, absolutely.
Real quick, because
go ahead, Ruckus.
This is perfect, ties right into what you guys are saying and what we were talking about with these 90s science fiction movies. Why can't it be more like The Predator? See, even The Predator knew how to properly handle the situation. In Predator 2 from 1990, Predator recognizes a child with a toy gun, poses no actual threat, and does not attack him. This implies that predators have more ethical rules of engagement than the IDF and also the AI that they're using. So there you have it.
Well said. Very good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of, that's where things are at. I mean, look, the Iranians have been restrained in terms of hitting targets. They haven't been, someone hit the Saudi oil facilities and it wasn't Iran. Iran said, obviously they don't want to do that because they don't want anyone to hit theirs. So that's off limits, but yet it was hit. Now, there are the accusations about and reports of Mossad agents being arrested in Saudi and Qatar that were planning kinetic actions in those countries. So those are, I mean, it's rife for false flags. Let's just put it that way. With this many people involved, this many countries, the fog of war, Israel would benefit massively. And also, the U.S. hit desalinization plant in Iran. So that's a huge, I mean, why would you do that? I mean, except for obviously punishing and making the territory, ungovernable for the state. But now Iran can target desalinization plants in the Gulf. And is that where we want to take things? The United States is just, they started this war and we don't know what the objectives are. It can't be regime change. It's just to destroy the country. That's the objective. Just destroy the country.
Yeah, I have
destroy as much infrastructure as you possibly can. They're quite open about it.
I'm with you guys on that. I expect nothing. I expect their goal to be nothing short of similar to what they did in Gaza. It's gonna in their brains. That's what they want. That's what they think they're gonna get. And BB's been talking about this for 40 years. The mashups going around on X this week of him saying, "Oh, we have the nuclear weapons in 3 to 5 years." It's like, you said that 38 years ago, dude, and then you said it again 35 years ago, and then you said it again 32 years ago. It's just like, you can watch clips of him doing this all day. And I gotta say, shout out to Creative Accidents, our friend out there, who said killing by metadata. Imagine that. murdering people based on metadata. I mean, that's the kind of thing you advertise to boomers about or something. You know, it's not the kind of information you use to program death machines for them. And one other thing, Creative Accident sent me that I want to highlight here is the story of Stanislav Petrov. Stanislav Petrov, there's a book about him called Stanislav Petrov, the man who saved the world. Let's see, so he passed away in 2017, but he was a Russian lieutenant colonel of the Soviet Air Defense Forces who played a key role in the 1983 Soviet nuclear false alarm incident. On September 26th of 83, 3 weeks after the Soviet military had shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, Petrov was the duty officer at the command center for the Oko nuclear early warning system when the system reported that a missile had been launched from the United States, followed by up to 4 more. And to make a long story short, Petrov correctly judged the reports to be a false alarm. And just imagine, I mean, in 1983, we got the movie War Games. Ruckus was wearing his War Games shirt the other day when we were hanging out. Shall we play a game, right? Thermonuclear warfare. That's the game that he wanted to play. And it gives us a little bit of predictive programming in that movie.
I'll never forget the end of that movie. And the computer says that it goes, the only way, Matthew Broderick, I think that was a young Matthew Broderick. It said, the only way to win is not to play. I was very young when I saw that film, but I'll never forget the end. That's a great, that to me is a sign of a great story or a great movie when you can, after all those years, I still remember that last line. So that's pretty incredible.
I think you referred to it as a strange game, right? Strange game, the only way to win is not to play.
Well, they're hell-bent on destroying Iran, destroying China's Belt and Road project here, as Huffman Aviation 7341 says either Israel will be the Belt and Road hub or no one will. Yeah, that's basically the size of it. Yeah.
I mean, does anybody have any idea how much damage is being done to Tel Aviv? I've got a friend who has a friend who works for Sky News. They have a bureau in Tel Aviv. Apparently, there's not much damage. There's total censorship, of course. No, civilian, social media posts. You get punished if you put stuff up showing any images. Chaim Brashith, the anti-Zionist Jewish intellectual, was on this week saying he has friends in Tel Aviv that he can't say what they're telling him, let alone show it, because they would get into a lot of trouble, so we just don't know. Because, the so-called 12-day war last year, once the missiles started raining down on Tel Aviv, they said, we don't like this, make it stop. So the whole thing stopped. Now, this time, the noises coming out of Iran, in as much as we're able to hear them from Professor Morandi, are that Iran is going to continue, regardless of how much damage and how many casualties it takes, until it has inflicted sufficient damage on US assets in the region and Israel that they want to stop, and they decide not to do it again. As we know, there are no clear war aims from the Trump administration. They talk of getting the Kurds into an armed insurrection, but there's no popular uprising on the streets in Iran. Far from it. People are running for their lives, The last thing they're thinking about is overthrowing the government. So it's an appalling situation all round, obviously. But only from where I'm sitting, severe pressure being placed on the Trump administration by the Gulf states, who realize that they're not getting any protection. And the flight from Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed has spent hundreds of billions of dollars building that place up and building its image up, naming his race courses Dubai Millennium, and all this. Dubai Destination was another one. All those billions poured into Emirates Airways and that, and the reputation is absolute toast. The whole thing, I know.
It's a mirage. It's a mirage in the desert now. The whole idea of it, that would be forever, that Dubai would be an eternal city. It's always been a contradiction waiting to be realized. And now you have it. You cannot host all these U.S. bases and, thinking that it's providing you protection when at the end of the day, it's going to draw fire to your country. And that's exactly what America has done to all of these Gulf states. So these countries are basically constructs of British colonial and French map making after the First World War and the fall of the British Empire. And you know what? They're going to dissolve. You can't name a country after a family, for heaven's sake. Saudi Arabia. No. I mean, who does that? Who names a country after a family? I mean, come on. It's like, I know. It's just that the whole thing it's not sustainable. And so that's one thing that's going to fall apart. Now, is that good for Israel? They're not stupid. They know they can destroy all of the Gulf rivals. They want to wipe everybody out, so they're the last man standing in the region with nuclear weapons. That's the plan. And they're using America to do it. They're using Trump specifically to do it. Pete Hegseth instructed his military to disregard rules of engagement. There you go, Bryan. There you go. Yeah. No rules of engagement.
Yep.
No rules of engagement.
Yep.
Law of the jungle.
And that comment, we kill people based on metadata, that's an actual quote from ex-NSA chief that came out in 2014. He said the U.S. government, quote, kills people based on metadata, end quote. But he made the remark after saying he agreed with the idea that metadata, the information collected by the NSA about phone calls and other communications that does not include content, can tell the government everything about anyone as targeting for surveillance, often making the actual content of the communication, not even that important.
Yep.
Well, it's a massive improvement from targeting people based on their skin color. I mean, I guess it was, or how close they get to your perimeter. Is that what it was during the Iraq War or something like that? Like, it was like, because the terrorists would dress like civilians, so they didn't know who was who. But if you got too close, hey, bam, fire away, you know.
Neutralize the target. This gets PFP of the day of the week award here. I mean, I actually have seen people who look like this, by the way. Everyone knows a dude that looks like that, right?
This is the look now, man. I hate to be the bearer of cultural news, but this is apparently the cut.
Yep. That's great there. VG.AI1138. What about Trump wearing a white baseball hat?
Yes, I saw that. I mean, the guy's so crass.
I'm tired of the baseball caps, stupid, cheap, made in China baseball hats. That our president, have some dignity. Take the stupid baseball cap off, and just wear your suit. Just be a man. What's with it's like Kristi Noem with the spends 3 hours getting her hair done. She's got 5 people to do her hair, and then she puts the baseball cap to look like the aloof Hollywood celebrity coming out, being spotted out of yoga sessions on a Saturday morning. She got sacked, by the way.
Yeah, here she's out of a job.
Why do you think she was sacked? I want to go back
because she wasn't as psychotic as she wasn't psychotic enough. But no, there was the guy they're putting in now. Wait till I'll have to pull this clip. This guy's really crazy. But there's a scandal coming out. They shot and killed somebody else in Texas, and it's now coming out. Plus, there was another death. And that's all this stuff is going to hit the political price. The bill is now coming due, and they want to sack Noem before the fireworks begin. They don't want her in office, so she's finished. I don't know what she'll do, but again, career suicide. Do I feel sorry for them? No. There she is. Hesher's got there. Yeah, that's maybe she get a contract with like Pantene or Tresemme or one of these shampoo brands. L'Oreal, she do well with L'Oreal, I think.
She got grilled pretty hard the other day before she got sacked.
They were asking her about creepy sex stuff, weren't they?
Yeah.
No, what were they?
Yeah, they asked her if she had sex with a staffer, a particular staffer.
Oh, okay, yeah. They did some weird personal stuff. Yeah.
just going back to the serious stuff about the abandonment of rules of engagement or the usual ethics of war. I mean, that was all abandoned with the Gaza genocide. Simple as that. And the fact that European leaders in particular didn't do anything about it. In fact, they continued arming Israel and all the rest of it. So, as you sow, so shall you reap. And Trump is apparently furious at Europe's lukewarm response to the illegal and entirely unprovoked attack on a sovereign nation. Everybody should really be wildly enthusiastic about this.
Oh, hold on. Breaking news. Breaking news. We have to stop talking about all of this stuff, you guys. Breaking news. Canada, nonstop coverage on CBC of a synagogue in Ontario that's getting vandalized. So let's just drop everything. There's a synagogue in Canada that's being vandalized. This is outrageous. This is anti-Semitism, the scourge of anti-Semitism. So get Jonathan Greenblatt on speed dial. Let's go, folks.
Now, wait a minute, Patrick. What if it turns out that the person doing the vandalizing is Jim Carrey? Now, that might work.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I thought you could. Does he practice Kabbalah, Jim Carrey?
Apparently, he practices the master of disguise. I don't know. It's just he's the only other thing in the world right now that's trying to go viral outside of the Guthrie kidnapping is Jim Carrey. Where is that really him? Did he get cloned? I mean, people are going gaga over this story. It's crazy.
Well, instead of on the false flag discussion, let's talk about domestic false flags, okay? Now let's get into the real meat of the conversation. Did you guys see the report that the FBI is not Trump is intervening for them not to stop or investigate reports of domestic terrorism relating to the Iran war? What do you think that's all about, guys? What about a false flag attack on U.S. soil to motivate America, who are currently 80% against the war, to suddenly switch to be for the war? What would that take? And pray tell, what is the possibility that Israeli operations might be happening on U.S. soil to make such things happen? They wouldn't do that now, would they?
Sure, it's convenient considering what happened just 7 days ago. Just 7 days ago, we had some guy in a Allah hoodie shoot up a bar on East 6th Street in Austin, circled it 3 times, pulled a pistol out, shot a bunch of people on a patio through the window of his car, parked his car, got out of his car with a long rifle, started shooting at people in the streets. Lo and behold, I think anyone who hangs out in Austin knows East 6th Street, the police are literally staged and stationed at every street corner. The guy was shot dead by the police, according to the reports, within less than a 1 minute response time, even though he injured 14 people and killed 3, according to the reports.
Did he shout the obligatory Allah Akbar? Did he do?
I have not watched the video. There is new video footage of him that has been released. I have not watched it yet, but I did see reports that there were a Quran in the vehicle.
Of course.
And we had
next to his passport, right?
All the hallmarks were there, my friend. All the hallmarks were there.
Be a copy of the Quran on the front seat of the rented van,
probably
of the rented van, and the ID. Of course, you have to leave your ID.
Yeah.
When you get out and do these terrorist attacks, you must leave your ID always on the front seat of your vehicle. Everybody, if you haven't learned that by now, you should.
So I expect this to mean that I'm not going to see, and not that I was expecting to see, but I'm not going to see a full investigation on that. I'll see some sort of media narrative. There will be only redacted police reports, or they will go straight into the FBI Indiana Jones vault.
Indiana Jones vault, way back of the warehouse. So that looks like an operation that somebody duffed up. In other words, someone didn't dot their I or cross their T. Maybe the patsy they had, something didn't work out. It's something around the story didn't line up, so they basically ditched it, right?
Yeah, or it was just a pure Manchurian MK Ultra, suicide mission of some sort, many people might say.
Yeah. Ruckus is being solicited for advice on being ghosted on social media. That's interesting. You guys can do that. Just I think your DMs are open on X, aren't they, Ruckus?
Yeah, but I do have 2 accounts, so make sure you're following the right one.
Oh, you got the Daily Ruckus, and then you've got the Adam Clark account. Yeah,
I think it's the other one is Ruckus Room, I think is the username.
Are
I
you
don't
still
pay attention to that one at all.
Are you still doing personal coaching?
For business consultations and things, yes.
Business consultations, and also how to wean people off of social media, Instagram scrolling addictions. You still providing that service?
Sure, I can help in that department. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I just got to practice what I preach in that case.
That's right. That's right. Oh, here we go. New vaccine available to release your inner Crusader. Monthly boosters soon to be mandatory. I wonder if that's allegorical or if they're literally talking about a vaccine here. There is a type of a vaccine, but it's not a vaccine's meant to inoculate you from such things. I think you're talking about like something else here, not really I know what you mean by vaccine, though. Yeah.
Property of Allah. That's what the guy's hoodie said. The shooter.
Interesting.
Last week.
Interesting.
He was wearing something underneath it too. I had heard in some reports.
Yeah, there's reports that there are Iranian colors under his hoodie or somewhere hidden on the hoodie. I've not really looked into that, but I see it going around on CBS. So CBS is saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that looks like completely legitimate. And Austin's
Did
always
they really say German passport, or
did he? German,
story?
Dutch, German, who knows?
I mean, know, but
if he's an immigrant, even better. I mean, that works, dovetails nicely with the immigration outrage.
Shout out to all the German listeners, by the way. They must be feeling very happy about this whole thing because they were not responsible for starting World War III. So congratulations, everybody, if you're German.
Yeah, don't blame the Germans. Whatever you do, don't blame the Germans. They're traumatized enough. So I want to point everybody to our Sunday screening this week. I'm going to bring this up onto screen here. This is Target Tehran. This is a Fault Lines, an Al Jazeera documentary. We'll go back to that. The 12 days that shook Iran. So it's talking about the so-called 12-day war last June. That's up on our Sunday screening for 21stcenturywire.com. Let me just take our that one down and bring this one up. There it is. Go to 21stcenturywire.com and you will see this is our weekly documentary film there, which we feature the Sunday screening. Target Tehran, excellent documentary about last June, the 12-day war. Of course, that was just a warm-up for what we're seeing right now. So before we wrap it up, gentlemen, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been a very good, very productive, I think, discussion. We've hit some important topics, but I mean, we're just getting, unfortunately, this is just the beginning now. I think they say it's going to be a long war. I think this is just going to drag on for a very long time. And it's going to be very ugly. And we have a U.S. government, if they're not stopped or restrained, they're going to kill a lot of people, and also going to start more dragging in other countries. And this is going to affect our economy. I already saw the gas is shooting up. Like just between yesterday, it's gone up 30, 40 cents a gallon. Now you just added more money on filling up your tank. I think it'll go even higher by midweek next week. Futures calls are already putting in 90 calls for oil. So we're going to be at $100 a barrel pretty soon. And then sky's the limit if this thing keeps going, guys. But I want to go around the horn and give you guys a chance to give us your final thoughts and reflections on this week and then what's coming the week ahead, and also what you're doing on Alternate Current Radio Network. Hesher, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me and for the great show. A retraction for myself from last week. I want to point out that one of those videos or headlines I pointed out was fake. I got duped by it happens to the best of us. Not that I am the best of us, but happens to all of us these days. So stay vigilant on your shares and posts. And it's a wild world out there in the information sphere.
Which headline was it? Just for so I know not to.
It was the one about U.S. tankers getting hit by Iran.
Do you remember the source? The source of it? Did you manage to?
It was an X source. It was just an X account, and they had because we looked at it deeper that night. We did Boiler Room after last week's Sunday Wire, and I watched the clip with everybody. And once I was watching it and I started reading the comments, I realized, oh no, this is not a real story. So the clip that they had for a couple of these stories were out of video games, like remember the Ghost of Kiev and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to throw that out there, just as a retraction and a be careful. And then if you this is the CBS report here, Patrick. If you expand my screen a little bit,
I will. Yep.
You can see from CBS News. CBS News obtained a photo showing Austin gunmen wearing a shirt emblazoned with, this is weird, a design similar to the Iranian flag. Nadiaga Diagin, who was killed by police after he opened fire, was also wearing a hoodie that said "Property of Allah." So there's your mainstream mass media cartel receipts on that story. And of course, you've got they're saying it's a developing story. They're looking into possible terrorist ties and all that kind of stuff. So whatever narrative they're going to wrap around this, expect to see it become a trend. And we do have we had to reschedule this week's Boiler Room. I kind of don't think we're going to do it tonight. We might do it Monday, either tonight or Monday. We're going to do a Boiler Room, but it's a little bit rough standing in front of the cameras for like 7 or 8 hours on the same day. So maybe we'll do it tomorrow. I don't know. So just keep an eye on alternatecurrentradio.com. Follow us on the podcast streams. Follow Boiler Room and Alternate Current Radio at Rumble and YouTube. Follow me on X at Hesher Media. And it was the other receipt I have. Thank you, longtime listener. Noam supposedly having an affair with Trump acolyte Corey Lewandowski. That's who they were.
She is about. Not supposed. Yeah, they are an item. They have been an item. I think they're perfect for each other, quite frankly.
Yeah, me too, actually.
I mean, she should get her out of the politics, get her at home baking and stuff like she needs to like baking cornbread and doing those sort of things, working in the garden outside.
Fake trad mom influencer.
She needs to be. That's her natural sort of role, not sort of top cop sort of thing. I mean, it was fun for a few days, but then when she was like pointing the muzzle at that gun right at that guy's head, that was a little bit strange.
The LARPing had gone too far.
Yes, indeed. This is scary thought here. Keep in mind, Mertz is desperate to join the war in Iran. Please don't let the Germans in. Please. The last thing we want is to get the Germans battlefield experience in a major war, because then they're just going to go after Russia. We don't want to see that happen, guys. It's not really. Yes. Ruckus, go ahead. Your final thoughts on that. And yeah, big shout out to the Boiler Room. And just remind us of the timing on the Boiler Room again this week.
We shoot for 8 p.m. Central, and of course we just move the clocks forward here in the United States. So if you're not in the United States, look for us around 8 p.m. Eastern time. Do the math for your current conversion.
Okay. Yes. And Ruckus, go ahead. Your final thoughts, reflections, week ahead.
Yeah, week ahead. I think like Hesher there, I think the next major shoe to drop is the at-home terror false flag kind of, that stuff going on. So that's definitely something that is on my radar. I mean, of course, we also got to be worried about the fake alien invasion, which might be the next major psyop, but I don't think we're quite ready there yet. This is probably the one that's going to happen before the aliens, unfortunately, because MAGA just seems gung-ho about ushering in the technocracy. By the way, I did see out in the chat room a couple suggestions for the band name. Somebody out there said MAGA death. And unfortunately, MAGA death is already taken. Our good friend and colleague Odd Man Out did an episode of his podcast called MAGA Death, and I made this graphic for him. I thought the audience would appreciate that. So that one's already taken, so you have to come up with a better name. If you want to check out that episode of Odd Man Out, plus all of our other stuff, make sure you go to alternatecurrentradio.com. That's where you'll find the most recent episode of the Roundabout Ruckus, which is me on Weaponized News with Sam Chaney, as well as, of course, the Boiler Room and our friends and colleagues, Mystical American Patriot Society and Odd Man Out podcast. You'll also find a link to my X account, the right one. I have two accounts. If it's this one with my picture, you're in the right spot. I pay attention to this one all day. If it's the other one, I check on it occasionally. But if you're trying to get a hold of me, make sure you're going to the right one. Again, just go to Alternate Current Radio for all of that. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick. And as usual, I'll remind the listeners and myself, read everything, listen to everybody, but don't trust anything unless you can prove it for yourself using your own research. The wise words of Mr. William Cooper. Rest in peace.
Yeah, especially if what you're reading is on Truth Social. Basil, go ahead. Your final thoughts a week ahead.
Well, I'm just reading about various aspects of the European response to the war. The Spanish have been very vocal, saying they won't allow the United States to use their joint bases. And Macron has sort of weighed in on the Spanish side, saying that the attacks are outside international law, but others like Meloni in Italy have said they will respect the existing agreements. And the language from that pathetic little creature, Kaja Kallas, said that Washington's foreign policy had rocked the transatlantic relationship to its foundation, but accused Iran of being an exporter of war, trying to sow chaos in the region, when I think we all know what the country to which that epithet would be better applied. I've also seen a post on social media this afternoon by a liberal woman, quite well respected, quoting Khamenei, the now deceased leader of Iran's recommendation that very young girls get married, pubescent girls. And there's certainly an aspect of liberal thought in the West that obviously wants to see the end of what it regards as a very repressive regime in Iran. Now, what's going to be interesting in the days and weeks is the extent to which the sort of boneheaded anti-Iran propaganda coming out of the likes of Kallas and liberal women is tested by the amount of destruction, death and destruction rained down upon the Iranian people. This will also be interesting to see how the other European countries react to that as well. We saw that there was no limit to the amount of death and destruction that could be visited, that is still being visited on the people of Gaza, that prompted any kind of meaningful response from Europe. Is that going to be the case with Iran as well? I fear it is, that the likes of Starmer, obviously von der Leyen, Macron himself, Merz, are all so pathetically weak and have absolutely no moral backbone or fiber in any way, shape or form, that they're not going to be the ones to say, look, enough is enough of this, so what I'm pointing to really is that there doesn't appear to be any end in sight. On the contrary, you've got Trump doubling down on his criticism of European leaders for not being enthusiastic enough. I think only really the price of oil going haywire. Wasn't Trump elected to bring down the cost of living in the United States? If another few weeks of this, and if it looks like turning into an economic catastrophe, then domestic pressure may force his hand. Whether or not that's enough to force the Israelis' hand as well, or whether they carry on without him, or whether they sustain enough damage that they've decided they've had enough, I don't know. But unfortunately, at the moment, there's just no end in sight to this carnage.
Yeah, I'm going to caution you though on these cherry-picked reports or statements out of context, allegedly from Iran's supreme leader, especially ones designed to kind of dovetail with the Tommy Robinson narrative that to sort of demonizing Islam for child marriage and stuff like that. If I could see the full statement in its actual context, or if
I agree with you.
Hold on, I'm not done. If he actually said it, because there's a lot of Israeli propaganda to demonize Iran in order to justify what they've done, which is kill him and also bomb the country. The problem is all of the anti-Iran propaganda is designed, it's targeting moderates in the West so that people will say, even the so-called anti-war MAGA populists will say, look, I'm against the war. We don't want to be in these endless regime change wars, but this is an evil dictator. Even Jon Stewart, was running with this, and in a way, it's the same with I don't support the Iraq War, but Saddam is gone, and that's a good thing. That was Tony Blair's stock line. So this propaganda is absolutely essential for creating this kind of complacency in Western moderates, centrists. That's who the target of the propaganda is. It's not the extremes. It's the moderates, and it's getting us to say, look, we're sorry about the war, but they're a backward, evil, medieval dictator, and anything but. The supreme leader of Iran, I would say, on an intellectual level, was compared to anybody in Western politics, is a powerhouse. His writing, his books, it's translated in English, all of it. We would love to have a politician, a leader who is basically saying and commenting on the things that he has for the last 30 or 40 years in the eloquent way that he has. Instead, we got these clowns and buffoons who are either senile or, in the case of the current president, a partner in crime with one of the worst pedophiles in history. So, I mean, we don't have a leg to stand on in the liberal West when it comes to lecturing anybody about morals. And I just have to balance that out,
Patrick, I'm not saying we do. I'm simply saying that people believe it and are repeating it and using it as justify. I'm not saying I do.
No, I'm not. It's not directed at you personally, Basil.
It as an example of the kind of narrative that's being pushed to justify all this horror.
Yeah, but I'm just qualifying it because there's so much propaganda that's in circulation. So I have to give that the full treatment. Yeah.
It's similar. It's similar to how the Biden administration, many in the Biden administration reacted to October 7. Like there was this sort of like, oh, we're not too sure about it. We don't really like it, but we got to allow it to happen. That was sort of and that was something that the Trump campaign latched onto and said, no, we need to be more ravenous about this.
Yes, exactly.
That sitting in the middle sort of thing. And I think we're seeing that amongst the, S tier podcasters too. Like people are, many people would use Tucker Carlson as an example right now. Say, oh, he's going against them. It's like, well, is he really? Like a lot of people have the appearance of like saying, hey, I hate this, I don't want it. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it's a tier, it's notched up a little bit from your Jon Stewarts with their very simple, like, Tony Blairite sort of delivery on that. Like there's this weird middle ground that is not a middle ground that's happening in like the Groyper audience, the Fuentes audience, would fall into that also. A lot of them actually. I mean, you posted a brilliant thing about PBD this week.
Oh, PBD.
He's another level.
But yeah, look, I'll put this comment here by Jack Klugman. Great name, by the way, Jack Klugman, 107, famous actor. But Quincy, right? Yeah, I think Quincy.
That's right.
AOC signaled this during the quote protest. So the AOC crowd, that's who the peaceful protester massacre propaganda was aimed at. Democrats, liberals. That's what the neocons and the Christian Zionists already made up their mind. Anything east of the Atlantic is heretical and evil and apostates, right? So, except for Israel, of course, but the liberals, that's who that propaganda is aimed at. And it's getting them to basically, manufacture the consent for the war, even if it's like, well, we don't like what Trump's doing, but it's an evil dictator, kind of thing.
Yeah. So let's kill them all. Rather than force these women under the niqab, let's kill them all. It's sort of
exactly
particular logic, But it's another whole story we could spend half an hour on. But Hesher mentioned Tucker Carlson, who is now venturing into places, lifting on the lid on the Chad Lubavitch cult and all that said no mainstream American commentator has gone before, and that well, it was a real Pandora's box there, shall we say? Just as the Christian Zionist theology is being debated, so are aspects of various sects of Judaism's theology being debated in public in a way that has never happened before. You had to go to the far corners of the internet if you wanted to look at that kind of stuff, and now suddenly also I'm seeing much more mainstreaming of Israel did 9/11 as well. That was what's his name, Christopher Bolin alone, even 5 years ago, and now that's being much more mainstream, certainly on social media and all the rest of it. So it's another whole story. We could do a complete program on it, but tectonic plates shifting in the United States around those attitudes. The poll only last week showed that more Americans sympathize with Palestinians than Israelis for the first time in history. I think it was, if you took out the don't knows, it was sort of 55-45, something like that. Absolutely extraordinary.
Well, look, the last thing I'll say on this propaganda front, guys, is don't forget, you guys, we followed the Ukraine war very closely, didn't we, from the beginning? And what were they saying for the first 3 years? Russia's collapsing. Russia's on the edge of the economy is going to collapse. Putin is in hiding. Putin is dying of cancer. The Russians are fighting with shovels. The Russian army is a paper tiger. So all of our mainstream media, all of our politicians were in lockstep on the same talking points, which were the opposite of what was actually happening. So my question would be to everybody, what do you think is happening with this war in Iran? The U.S. says they've defeated the Iranians. They wiped out all of their air force and all of their missiles and all this stuff. And the U.S. hasn't lost any soldiers. I think they're admitting like maybe 4 or 6. Yeah, 6. What's to say that they're not doing the exact same thing now? That obviously the U.S. losses are much greater, and they're exaggerating the damage to the Iranian military. I think it's very possible that that's the case now still. So that means the reporting is going to be way off, and they're censoring missile strikes in Tel Aviv. Why would they be doing that? If Israel's doing so well and the Iron Dome is taking them all out, why would they be censoring damage reports? Good question.
No, sure.
So just putting that out there is we don't know the full story. We are getting glimpses of it on social media and through our sources, and listening to Mohammed Marandi and other people on the ground in Iran. To be honest, I'm horrified. For the last week, you guys, I'll be honest with you, I've been afraid to reach out to all the people I met there.
Yeah, I bet.
I've been afraid to, because I don't want the answer to come back or not come back at all. And so that just, I can't even comprehend it. I mean, listen, Iranians are first class. I'm just going to put it that way. These are first class people. And, I hold them in much higher regard than all these charlatans who we have to unfortunately cover and talk about all day here, our so-called leaders. And so it's been, there's a human cost that I don't see our military letting up. That we have psychopaths in charge, and I don't see anybody restraining these guys at the moment. So I'm extremely, worried about how this is going to unfold, this story. So, anyway, as usual, we're going to do our best to cover it, and we have an awesome team here at ACR and 21 Wire, and a big shout out to Freddie Ponton, who's absolutely smashing it every day on our website. The Pete Hegseth story is just so devastating, and Freddie was jumping on that immediately. So he's really hitting the mark really quickly, and so are you guys as well. And our commentary on this program, I think the response in the comment threads are 2,500 comments, and we have over 3,000 on the live stream right now. So that means that people are tuning in because we're addressing the right things. We're bringing up the correct points. And yes, some people are saying this show is based. Yeah, I guess it sort of is compared to other shows, but there are shows more based than us. I can tell you right now. So
I'll up the based points for you. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, is that? Oh my God. What's this?
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Oh, that's an American eagle.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's not a chicken, Ruckus.
Yes, this is the most dangerous form of religious fanaticism going on right now. Yes, sir.
That's a huge provocation right there, Ruckus. That's very based. Can you make a meme out of that and share it with me, please? I would like to share that on my Telegram channel.
I'll send it to you, but it's not mine. I borrowed that meme from somebody else.
Add some text to the top and the bottom of it in classic
I'll just have to figure out what Paula White was saying, and I'll put that on there. How about that?
Yeah, you might as well include Paula White in that meme, and then fire that over to me. I'm going to share that. That will go viral. Thank you very much. And if you could animate your band as well, we just want to go out with, and I got some background music for that as well. So if you can just do that before we leave, Ruckus, let me just get them playing. I think I got some tunes here. Keep that going. Let me see if I can get some background tunes here. 1 second. Let me see. Hold on. How about that vibe? That's more like the vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, Pete can keep up with that.
Yeah, feeding the ducks. That's called feeding the ducks. Yeah.
I had to slow the video down.
I actually think that's in very poor taste, to be honest, because it sort of humanizes these demons and sort of making light of what is an extremely serious situation where innocent people are getting maimed and slaughtered as we speak. I don't think there's anything funny about what's going on at all at the moment. And my opinion.
We're lampooning these clowns. So we're giving them a soft landing before we kick them in the butts and out of the building. So, but thank you for that, Ruckus. And that should give people nightmares, I would imagine.
Definitely nightmare fuel.
Yeah, but those are nightmares that people need to have to motivate them. So, point taken, Basil. We're not trying to make light of the situation. However, as people know with the Sunday Wire, there is a level of gallows humor which we indulge in, especially during the Overdrive segment, to let some of the air out of the tires a little bit so we don't get a flat when we're doing our 500th lap around the track. But thank you very much. Your final thoughts, Basil, before we exit here?
Well, it's just my turn to say where you can find me, which these days is every Friday at 1 p.m. UK time on UK Column. And I've also been popping up. All three of us used to work for Mr. Mike Ryan over at Today's News Talk. And I've been doing regular guest spots on its successor, the worldtoday.news. I won't be there this week, though, because it's the Cheltenham Festival. And doing Mike's program at 7 a.m. interferes with my sleep patterns. And I want to be well rested this week to make all the right decisions when it comes to the Gold Cup, the Champion Hurdle, and all the other 28 races at Cheltenham next week. It's going to be a great show. The Olympics of national hunt racing. And do people want a tip?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think Brighter Days Ahead and Tutti Quanti will both run well in the champion hurdle on Tuesday. And Cabral du Mathan in the Stayers hurdle on Thursday. Tom Siegel says we might see something special there. Kopek de Board in the Arkle on Tuesday, and the Gold Cup is the most open Gold Cup in years. And I'm struggling to come up with one, but the value pick might be Noel Mead's Affordale Fury at 33-1.
All right, that's a good tip for Cheltenham week. And look, the award for comments is right here. Angela Pronk 749. The band name, the Third Temple Pilots.
Oh, done.
Well done, Angela.
Yeah.
That's impressive. See, that's the kind of talent we have with our listenership here at the Sunday Wire and on ACR. They come up with beauties like this. Amazing. Third Temple Pilots. I can't do
I'm
better
gonna have
than
to make
that.
a full
can you?
album cover. I'm gonna have to do a whole string of memes now, but we will definitely be using that. Thank you, Angela. Good one.
Can't beat that right there. I mean, that's just epic. So well done. There's some others that have come through, some other submissions, but we won't bother with those. But yeah, what you guys, just before we I'm gonna cut the stream in a moment, or cut to the close, but did you guys check Joseph Arthur's new track, Nobody's War?
Oh yeah, that reminds me, he's doing a tour of the UK at the moment, actually.
Yep, he'll be in Brighton. He'll be in Brighton.
He will, and I'm gonna go. I've never met him, so I'm gonna go along and say hello to Joseph.
Yeah, you should. He'll be in Brighton. He's doing something in Hampstead, up in West London or northwest London. So yeah, he's doing a few UK dates. So yeah, Joseph in great form. He's in absolutely brilliant form. Great song. I me's already on heavy rotation in my head. So he's very talented. He's got another couple bangers, and he's got some big, well-produced tracks. One of them's coming out. It's a bit of a Marilyn Manson sort of vibe, and not Marilyn Manson the person, who's just become a kind of a strange-looking creature recently. But in terms of that sort of big sound, that big rock sound, so it's Joseph's quite incredible artist. And big shout out to the Real Anthem Band. And it's Sean Helton's project. I mean, they're very talented. I heard a couple of his other tracks, which haven't been released yet. I just caught up with him recently, and I did the car stereo test with Joseph as well. So we did the car stereo test, put it through the car stereo, and drove around the block. And it's like that's the old school way to test the demo, I guess. But I did that with Sean too, and yeah, I mean, Sean's an incredibly talented artist. Sean and Joseph are similar in that both of them are extremely talented visual artists, painters, and they're both very talented musicians as well. So it's kind of funny that we got these very incredible artists in our midst, who are also extremely good at the content of what we do in terms of analysis and deconstructing conspiracy type material. Joseph's learned a lot. Sean is a master, of course, as we know, over the years with the Daily Shooter, as a pioneer of the Daily Shooter project. So yeah, really, really happy to see Sean's new project as well. It's been incredible. He's very cinematic as well. So
yeah, we've been missing Sean and his music, and it was a integral part of Sunday Wire for many years. So it's just fantastic to see him back on the scene and doing the Real Anthem. If you're not following the Real Anthem band on X, you should, so you can keep up with their output, because the stuff they're putting out is really good.
Yeah. People saying how Creative Accidents wants to buy Joseph and Basil a beer. Saying, how do we do that? Basil is a rocker. So Basil's now a rocker.
Back in the day, I was. Back in the day.
He was a rocker, not a mod. He was a rocker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now he's in Brighton.
That sounds like the title of a Ramones song.
The most recent rock band I saw was King Crimson on one of their final tours.
Oh, lucky.
We're still hoping that they're going to come out again, but it's looking increasingly unlikely. But it won't be long before an iteration of King Crimson with some of them. I mean, actually, there's one going round. There's, what's his name? Adrian Ballou with Steve Vai. And they're going around playing the 80s Crimson repertoire under the name Beat.
With Steve Vai, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, you missed them in the States. They're in the UK this year.
Oh wow!
They're playing the Discipline album and Three of a Kind and things like that.
Eat your groceries is challenging Angela's Third Temple Pilots here with the Stein Roses.
Very good. I like that.
Stein Roses. That's got a bit of Brighton in it as well. You know, the new Stein, the old Stein. It's a little bit of a little Brighton gets a look in there.
Don't drag us into it, you know. But yeah.
Third Temple Pilots. I'm not sure. I like Third Temple. Third Temple. That's I guess it's appropriate on a certain level, I guess. But
I'd call them morons from hell.
There you go.
Morons from
Third Temple's like the Beavis and Butthead version.
Yeah. Well, look, great engagement for everybody on the comments. Appreciate your guys' creativity. Just one more. There's one more here. Red heifers and blue bollocks. That's a bit hardcore, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty hardcore. Anything with Stein Gold. Easy now.
Sorry, Armageddon's already taken by an actual.
Yeah, the clash of civilizations. I like that with the parentheses.
Yeah, that works.
Very good.
Okay, look, I'll play some of these comments on the outro during the outro of the program. Thank you very much, Hesher, Ruckus, Basil Valentine. Amazing as always. I'll see you guys very soon. Appreciate everybody joining us on this stream, and we'll feature some of these comments on the way out here. There's just so many of them. There's so many of them. Anyway, we'll give you guys a chance to get involved later on. And so, look, I want to say big thanks to all of our guests today, our panel, our team, Joseph Arthur as well for his cameo. Again, I'll put that full Joseph Arthur video up at 21st Century Wired or 21wired.tv. That'll be, so those of you who subscribed to 21wired.tv, you'll be the first to hear the full interview of Joseph Arthur. And it's a pretty good interview. Very casual. You know, it's very much unplugged kind of vibe, and really good. I think you'll get a good insight into Joseph and what he's about. Get a little bit of an indication of that with that interview. So we'll put that up there for members and subscribers, which brings us to the other point. And if you haven't already, look, we've got a winter fundraising drive going, folks. And again, we're going to give it another push. I see some donations have already come in since I put this up at the beginning of the show. We hit our goal of 15,000 3 weeks ago. And we've gone over that. We're about before the show at 16.5. We want to do a final push today for 20,000, and we have so much we need to do in terms of computer cameras. There's all sorts of other equipment that goes with that, but we have plans to produce new content, and we need the equipment and the kit to do that. Plus, we need to bring on some more staff, and we already have a good team, a small team. Our core is about 4 people, but we're going to need to add 1 or 2 more people during the course of this year. So if we can push to 20,000 folks, if you're able to help us, everybody to get on board, we can make that happen. We have people we need to secure for the rest of the year, and we want to bring on some new people as well in the next couple of months. And to do that, we're going to need some more help. So if anybody's out there who has the means to make that work for us, we want to hit 20,000 by the end of tonight. And then we're going to shut this campaign down. for now. It's been a great winter fundraising campaign. It's been a success no matter what. Hit that QR code on screen there, and that will take you right to our fundraising page. There's a lot of different options in terms of supporting and donating us. So I'll leave the QR code here in the corner just above my shoulder, and you can just tap, do that with your phone or your camera if you're looking on a laptop or whatever. So, or if you're watching us on the big screen, some of you watch us on YouTube, on your Plasma with your Amazon Fire or your Roku or your smart TVs. So just hit that QR code and you can support us. We'll keep this drive going. This is the bonus round. We got one last push today. We're also going to hit you guys on the email just to remind you today. We've got a big blast going out there. And again, even some of our older supporters, I know you guys are still around and you guys have been with us for a long time and you've always been there when we've needed you, and to help not only keep this going, not only surviving, but thriving. That's what we want to do in 2026. So if you like what we do, you like this show, you like our daily content that we're putting out, and the fact that we're able to have such a wide reach, even despite the censorship and the throttling, support us. 21stcenturywire.com. We need your support now more than ever. I'll put that back up on screen one more time so you guys can hit that QR code if you need to, or hit pause, screenshot that, whatever you need to do. But just go to the website to the donate gold button. It'll take you to that landing page for our fundraising drive. So I think we're going to do it. I really think we're going to do it. There's a lot of people out there that would like a last chance to get involved. Maybe you're late or you're a new listener, or you're just come in the last couple of weeks. We've been going since late 2009. So this is not a flash in the pan. We didn't just pop up over COVID. We've been here long before COVID. So this is why we are deeply involved in deconstructing propaganda and these narratives. And our work goes way, way, way back. Myself personally, I've been involved in this space since the early 2000s, but 21st Century Wire was launched in late 2009. And I dare say, we've developed into a very strong and sustainable independent media outlet. And we want to keep this going, not just keep it going, but we want to get up to another level this year. This is going to be the year we're going to do that, and we need your help. We need your help to make that happen. Look, that's all we've got time for. Again, if you miss any of these podcasts or the live shows, just go to our archive at 21stcenturywire.com. And we're getting massive numbers on iTunes as well. So we're in the top section of news and politics. We've actually been there a long time, but we were out and now we're back again. And we're in the process of developing our Spotify channel as well. That's taking a little bit of work because some new features on Spotify we haven't got up to date with. Those are the type of things that we're doing to increase our overall reach. So we're managing 8 channels right now. We want to manage like 12 or 13 by this spring. So that's how we disseminate our content on multiple platforms. And we need staff. We need people to do that, and good people as well. And we're in the process of hiring some of those people. So that's every penny we can use, and we can make it go a long way. In fact, we can actually make it go a long way than some bigger organizations that have much higher overheads. We're very focused on our resources. We use them precisely with what we need. And I think the impact is increasing our numbers. We're overcoming a lot of censorship algorithms. And thank you guys for your help and support in this area. Again, we'll leave that QR code up on screen during the outro. We'll let the stream ride a little bit at the end so people can have a chance to get involved if they so choose. But thank you to everybody. That's all we've got time for, folks. Really appreciate it. It's been a great show. And again, go to 21wire.tv after the show later tonight. You'll see the full Joseph Arthur interview, including that live rendition of Nobody's War, brand new track that's premiered here on the Sunday Wire. Fantastic. Appreciate Joseph. Love his work. And he's there. He's got his finger on the pulse, and we so appreciate that. All right, guys. We'll see you when we see you. All the best. Take care. And we'll see you midweek and also next week as well. Signing out.
don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed, and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love. All peoples of the world as one. The revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace.
Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason. 'Cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion. 'Cause we all have souls and a mission here on earth. Only God knows why. You can't decide their death, 'cause you weren't here for their birth or their first laugh or cry. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers. Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason. 'Cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion. 'Cause we all have souls and a mission here on earth. Only God knows why. You can't decide their death, 'cause you weren't here for their birth or their first laugh or cry. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers.